The United States should control Greenland, and I defend that fully. I have people from Finland and Norway in my comments who are really angry. They think they're fighting for, Europe. They're fighting for European soil in Greenland. They think they're fighting for their national identity. They're not. Denmark stole Greenland from Norway. That should be a moot point. And if you're fighting for Greenland sovereignty, you'd be fighting Denmark. Denmark has sold 90% of the fishing industry, the one industry that Greenland even has, to China. They have sold major mineral rights and an infrastructure investment to China. China owns a fucking uranium mine in Greenland. They are running other mineral projects. China currently holds 70% of all of the rare earth mineral ore on the planet. China currently does 92% of all the refining for rare earth minerals on the planet. China currently runs 90% of all the magnet manufacturing on the planet. They shape the future of fucking advanced technology, and you are selling out a NATO ally, a strategic trade partner, because you think that you're going to get more money from selling Greenland to China. And that's what's happening. People in Norway and Finland won't even fight for their own country. I mean, Finland isn't as bad as Norway or Sweden, but, there's a lot of, shit going on where these countries have massive rape epidemics, stabbings, bombings, and, people exploiting their welfare programs. You're not even fighting for your own country, dude. You're not. And you're going to fight the Americans for Greenland, you're definitely not doing shit, okay? Just stop the fucking LARP. If you realized what was going on, you'd understand why the United States wants this. China tried to buy a fucking military base in 2018, which is why this happened the first time, right? Trump, in his first term, was obviously irritated with that. The United States leadership and strategic command was very irritated with that. The Western Hemisphere having a Chinese military base right next to the United States early warning system for intercontinental ballistic missiles at Thule Space Base, that would be a big issue. They tried to buy a fucking deep water port for trade. The United States has to put massive pressure on Denmark for them to not allow this. And Frederickson and the
We have breaking news. The U.S. military has ordered 1,500 troops to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota. Why? Well, as you know, last Thursday, Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, which allows the military to act as domestic law enforcement. So the Pentagon called this preparation for deployment, prudent planning, and that it's typical for them to be prepared for any decision the president may or may not make. Where are these 1,500 troops based? These soldiers are assigned to 2 infantry battalions with the Army's 11th Airborne Division, which is based in Alaska, and they specialize in cold weather operations. So does this move mean the administration is more likely to invoke the Insurrection Act? Again, the Pentagon is framing this as merely planning in case things escalate. Trump sort of cooled his rhetoric on the Insurrection Act on Friday, saying there's no reason to invoke it right now, but he said if he needs it, he'll use it. The mayor of Minneapolis is framing this news as the president trying to bait Minnesotans into creating a pretext for troop deployment. Wait, didn't Trump deploy 700 active duty Marines to LA last year? Yes, although he did not invoke the Insurrection Act then, so those troops can merely protect federal agents and buildings. These 1,500 today are preparing for the Insurrection Act, where they would be allowed to act as domestic law enforcement as long as the president deems an emergency or rebellion that cannot be suppressed under normal proceedings. And when was the Insurrection Act last invoked? 1992 under Bush 1 during the LA riots. He deployed approximately 3,000 to 4,000 federal troops then. Wow.
And all right, guys, we are live. Yo, what's up, media guys? And I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to do a recap of the week as we usually do on our Sundays. And then we're going to end off with a media analysis. So let's make sure we double tap that screen, like the video, and let's get right into it, guys.
Some great companies.
Are you going to send Starlink to Iran, sir, to help the people in the ground with the internet blackout for more than 72 hours?
We're going to be talking about that. We may get the internet going, if that's possible.
Are you talking to Musk
We
about
may
it?
speak to Elon, because as you know, he's very good at that kind of thing. He's got a very good company. So we may speak to Elon Musk. And in fact, I'm going to call him as soon as I'm finished with you.
Iran said that they would consider military and commercial bases as legitimate targets if you struck. Are you concerned about?
If they do that, we'll consider things targets they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it.
Do you think
I have options that are so strong. So I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force.
Do you think Iran takes your threats seriously?
I think so. Don't you think so, CNN? Don't you think so? Wouldn't you say that they probably do at this point? After going through it for years with me, being hit, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, the Iran nuclear threat wiped out, don't you think, and then you just had Venezuela, don't you think, she says, CNN, do you think they take your threat seriously? Wouldn't you say they do after all of the things we've done?
Well, sadly, I mean, they're actually taking this threat seriously, but not in the way that we'd want them to take it seriously. They're actually preparing for war. They've actually came out with the numbers. So what the Iranian officials have actually said, there's about 4.5, so Yeah, 4.5 thousand. Well, pretty much 4,500 people that were killed in the Iranian protests, and well, really 5,000, but 500 of those guys were policemen or AKA security forces. So those are the numbers right now that actually came out of Iran.
What a stupid question. Go ahead.
Are you coordinating with allies on the response to Iran?
Mr. President,
When will you meet with Maria Corina Machado this week?
I don't know. I hear Tuesday or Wednesday. I look forward to that.
have you named your board of peace for Gaza yet? Where do those plans stand?
Oh, guys, make sure you double tap the screen, man. Let's make sure we beat the algorithm.
The Board of Peace is being formed, but essentially it's the most important leaders of the most important nations. All nations, but the most important, you take the most important leaders and nations, that's who the Board of Peace is going to be. Everybody wants to be on it.
One group taking your threat seriously is one area taking your threat,
You win.
the New York Post.
New York Post treats me semi-fairly. So go ahead.
One group taking your threats very seriously is Greenland. Are you still thinking of military action there, or is anything they can?
Where? Military.
Greenland. Greenland. Is there anything they can offer you for a deal?
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland. And I am not going to let that happen.
And it does seem that Canada, well, really NATO is getting in the way of that. So, yes, not only has NATO put troops in Greenland just in case America does try to go into Greenland, so they're pretty much saying they're willing to fight American soldiers for Greenland. And remember, these are the same guy that's also crying about Russia being on their tail as well. So they're thinking they can defend off American forces and Russia at the same time. Well, I got a clip to show you.
What would happen if the United States and NATO went to war? After President Trump's blunt declaration about taking Greenland, NATO would immediately decide to expel the United States from the alliance and impose severe sanctions. In response, the U.S. would launch a war against Canada. Within a short time, American forces would sweep through Canadian cities and take full control of the country. NATO's Article 5 would then be activated, officially declaring war on the United States. However, the U.S. would act first by deploying its naval fleets close to Europe's coastlines. B-2 bombers would be used to strike NATO military bases while supporting ground forces landing on European soil. At the same time, the United States would take advantage of the situation to seize Greenland without facing any real resistance. Russia would also exploit the chaos, launching an offensive to capture Ukraine before reinforcing its troops along NATO's borders. As a result, Europe would descend into a state of unprecedented tension.
And well, that's the reality of that. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, and here's the thing, like I said, I don't know why NATO thinks it's a smart idea. I think they're just posturing at this point, but we'll see how far they're willing to take this.
Deal they can offer you either like.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
Are you okay if that compromises NATO? If NATO effectively ceases to exist?
I'm doing a great job. I'm the one that saved NATO. I'm the one that got them to pay 5% of GDP. Wait a minute. It was 2%, and they didn't pay. Now they're paying 5%. I'm the one that saved NATO. You wouldn't have NATO if I weren't president.
Would you pull the U.S. out of NATO? Would you consider doing that?
Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO would save a lot of money. But I like NATO. I just wonder whether or not if we needed NATO, would they be there for us? I'm not sure they would.
Nope.
We spent a lot of money on NATO.
I mean,
And I'm not sure.
the thing is, this was what, on the 11th? I mean, NATO has actually proved that today. If anything, they're willing to go against us than be beside us. I mean, they want to talk about, oh, well, we want to go against Russia. Well, we're going against Russia too by making sure that they don't ever get their foot in Greenland. But they were also protecting our interests when it comes to China as well. So apparently that's the problem for NATO. Crazy how they switch sides like that. But all right, though, let's go to the president's most current interview. Or my bad, but engagement with the press.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you explain how you view, your great healthcare plan will impact Americans' health insurance premiums?
It's going to be tremendous. It is a tremendous plan. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan. And we're going to get tremendous reductions, as you know, through, if you look at medicines and prescription drugs, they're going to come down by numbers that have never been seen before. And we're doing that by most favored nations. And other nations, whoever pays the lowest in the world, that's what we're going to pay. Right now, we're paying sometimes 10 times higher than other nations. So we have favored nations. That's been approved. Other nations have, for the most part, agreed to it. And they had no choice. Otherwise, we were going to put tariffs on them.
President Trump,
The healthcare plan that we're coming, the money's going to be paid directly to the people. So it goes directly, not to the companies, not to the insurance companies. It's going to go directly to the people, and the people are going to buy their own health care. They'll get much better health care at a much reduced
Pull out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. If it doesn't
Well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things.
And it does seem like, well, Greenland is posturing against, well, not Greenland, but NATO's posturing against us, and so is Canada, and they're doing it all in the Chinese interest. To be quite honest with you, it is kind of funny how China does have a good amount of assets out there in Greenland already, and us taking over Greenland means that, well, we'll be dominating taking those assets, and they don't want that. So it does seem like China has some influence in NATO to where they're able to get them to go over there, put troops to protect their assets. Like, bro, NATO don't own nothing over there, but China owns a lot. And then we got, what was it, one of the founding members of NATO, Canada, over there signing deals with China. I mean, it's oh so suspicious and coincidental at the same damn time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me see here if I think I have the clip. Well, no, I'm gonna go pull it up later. Actually,
a lot of investments in.
Right.
The United States should control Greenland, and I defend that fully. I have people from Finland and Norway in my comments who are really angry. They think they're fighting for, Europe. They're fighting for European soil in Greenland. They think they're fighting for their national identity. They're not. Denmark stole Greenland from Norway. That should be a moot point. And if you're fighting for Greenland's sovereignty, you'd be fighting Denmark. Denmark has sold 90% of the fishing industry, the one industry that Greenland even has, to China. They have sold major mineral rights and an infrastructure investment to China. China owns a fucking uranium mine in Greenland. They are running other mineral projects. China currently holds 70% of all of the rare earth mineral ore on the planet. China currently does 92% of all the refining for rare earth minerals on the planet. China currently runs 90% of all the magnet manufacturing on the planet. They shape the future of fucking advanced technology, and you are selling out a NATO ally, a strategic trade partner, because you think that you're going to get more money from selling Greenland to China. And that's what's happening. People in Norway and Finland won't even fight for their own country. I mean, Finland isn't as bad as Norway or Sweden, but, there's a lot of, shit going on where these countries have massive rape epidemics, stabbings, bombings, and, people exploiting their welfare programs. You're not even fighting for your own country, dude.
Yeah, that's pretty much the point there, though, is that if China got more interest in Greenland than we do, and the thing is, I mean, they got more assets in Greenland than we do. So it does kind of align how, NATO is out there protecting their assets, protecting Chinese assets, by the way. And then we got China, well, not China, but Canada over here signing trade deals with China. And then let's not forget how they also do military drills with them and all this wild stuff. And I'm just thinking, like, didn't we just kidnap a world leader for doing the same thing?
Military, we have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So, we're talking to NATO.
Mr. President, Mr. President, not militarily associate NATO partners.
I don't talk about that.
Mr. President,
Mr. President,
NATO partners.
protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar?
Well, we're going to see. As you know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday, and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled that.
Now they did say, well, they didn't actually cancel it. They what was it? They said they had about 800 scheduled to be executed. They did pause most of them, but there are some of them that they're continuing, saying that they were crimes against God. Yes, this is coming straight from Iran. They said, yeah, where there's some of these guys that we're not holding off on because they committed crimes against God. And I'm assuming that it seems like these are the guys who are burning down the mosque there. So I mean, that's the only thing I would, think that they would say is a crime against God.
Prime Minister Carney is in China. How do you see the deals Canada and China have just signed, trade deals between the two partners?
Well, that's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
Not smart.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Yesterday you accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again. Say it.
What's the trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? What are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act.
Oh God, do me a favor. Let's double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen. And yes, Trump does have a reasonable case to bring in the Insurrection Act. Why? Well, really to invoke it. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the fact that they're not only vandalizing ICE vehicles, but the mayor, Jacob Fry, is not providing any type of crowd control or protest control to where, there's local law enforcement going out there, making sure they're staying on the sidewalks and staying relatively safe. They can get as loud as they want. They can throw up their signs. That's great and all. But when they want to get into the streets and try to get into the face of ICE officers, that's impeding them. When they want to try to get in the way of the vehicles, that is impeding them. But apparently the federal judge do not give an F about that, because a federal judge in that area said that it is okay to stalk them. They are not allowed to retaliate against you. And I mean, I guess obstruction is now cool. I guess you can't be arrested for it no more if you're in Minneapolis.
Also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush. He used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
A very nice person. You said the meeting went well. Why align with Delcy Rodriguez and the remnants of the Maduro regime and not with Machado, who has the support of the Venezuelan people?
Well, if you ever remember a place called Iraq where everybody was fired, every single person, the police, the generals, everybody was fired, and they ended up being ISIS. Instead of just getting down to business, they ended up being ISIS. So I remember that. But I'll tell you, I had a great meeting yesterday by a person who I have a lot of respect for, and she has respect, obviously, for me and our country. And she gave me her Nobel Prize. But I'll tell you what, I got to know her. I never met her before, and I was very, very impressed. She's this is a fine woman.
I mean, Trump says nice things, but the reality is that it doesn't seem like she got the juice over there. It does seem like Delcy Rodriguez is the only way for us to really work through Venezuela, and it seems like they're playing ball with us. Now, to bring in Maria Machado would be basically bringing in a leader that, the regime does not agree with whatsoever. We're talking about, honestly, to install her, we'd have to get rid of the Supreme Court. I mean, Delcy Rodriguez and a whole lot. And then we already got now an on-ground militia force in Venezuela who wants Maduro's back, who's walking around with guns in the neighborhood. I mean, it's already like, tension's already high over there, and to go back in would be detrimental to them.
The March for Life is next week. Yes. And some pro-lifers are worried about your support for the Hyde Amendment. What do you tell them?
Well, you know what I tell them? You're going to hear about it because I just taped a beautiful piece for them, and they're going to play it. And those are great people. I want to tell you, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
And all right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to the right side of media here. And let's go ahead and get into it. Europe at outrage after Trump takes action over Greenland. Yeah, they're crying, they're kicking, crying, and screaming.
Protests erupting in Greenland this weekend after President Trump announced new tariffs on 8 NATO allies opposing his plans to acquire the territory. That move sparking bipartisan reaction.
Greenland and the Danes have been our allies for a long time now. The president is the consummate deal maker, and I think he's looking for a deal.
Denmark, Greenland, the Kingdom of Denmark, that's our ally. It's our friend. So I'm puzzled by the president's threat of tariffs.
I mean, here's the thing, then don't posture against the United States. You put military force inside of Greenland. Like, what are we supposed to think? It's like, that is basically a threat. So, okay, here you go, a 25% tariff, a threat back. I mean, I'm not so sure what the big deal is. If you guys are ready to risk it all for Greenland, I would hope you stand firm and not crumble over tariffs. Like, what did you expect?
For more, let's bring in National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. Great to see you this morning. I want to start here. The president's tariff threat to these 8 NATO allies does appear to be potentially upending one of his signature achievements, the landmark trade deal with the EU that he struck in July. Listen here.
This is probably the biggest deal ever reached in any capacity, trade or beyond trade. I think it's the biggest deal ever made.
We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the 2 largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
So this deal has been partially implemented, but it still hasn't cleared the European Parliament. Several members now are calling for 0% tariffs on U.S. products to be put on hold. And that deal also included $750 billion in energy purchases from the U.S., a $600 billion investment in the U.S., military purchases. Is all of that scrapped now that the president appears to be putting an overarching tariff over the deal that he made?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say that throughout
honestly, it's kind of Trump's trying to say this. He's like, well, what's more important? I actually want to know, too. But it seems like Trump's already gave us that answer. But what's more important? The financial benefits dealing with the EU or the financial benefits and the security benefits of taking Greenland? I mean, sound like Trump chose Greenland.
Negotiations with the Europeans last year, you would have heard them say, oh, if we have a tariff, if we do what President Trump says, it'll be terrible for our economies, you'll tank our economies. And if you go back and look that as we've negotiated these great deals, both for the US and for Europe, then their economies have boomed, their stock markets have boomed. It's been amongst the better years ever for them, because basically they see that the US right now is once again the shining city on the hill, that we're the engine of global growth. And President Trump has accomplished that really in just 1 year. So I think right now, with respect to Greenland, the president has a strong view that it's a national security matter for the US to have more control over Greenland. And I'm confident that in the end, he's going to go negotiate a deal that's great for us and great for our partners.
So do these tariffs stack?
I mean, that's a very nice way of putting it. He's like, well, respect to Greenland. I mean, hey, look, bro, we need you. So, yay. It's like all this argument about your sovereignty and all that good stuff is cute and all. But with respect to Greenland, we do need to acquire Greenland.
On top of the existing tariffs, and moreover, is he using
That's a nice way of putting it.
that? Because the Supreme Court could make a ruling on that and potentially strike it down as early as this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've not been briefed on the legalities of the Greenland tariffs yet. That'll happen for me tomorrow morning. Sorry.
Okay. The president obviously often escalates to de-escalate when he is deal making, but Europe is pretty outraged over this. These 8 states deployed their militaries as a symbolic defense against a NATO ally. The French president seemed to compare the U.S. to Russia even, saying, quote, no intimidation nor threat will influence us, neither in Ukraine nor in Greenland. a Danish member of the European
And
Parliament.
that just doesn't make sense. Because I mean, like, why would y'all do this? It's just not a really good strategy. Like I said, they're already in fear of what's going on in Ukraine, and then you want to stretch yourself out. And if we pull out of NATO and see these guys as aggressors, I mean, it's gonna be a clean sweep. And I'll play this video again just in case you missed it, but this is pretty much how it's gonna go.
What would happen if the United States and NATO went to war? After President Trump's blunt declaration about taking Greenland, NATO would immediately decide to expel the United States from the alliance and impose severe sanctions. In response, the U.S. would launch a war against Canada. Within a short time, American forces would sweep through Canadian cities and take full control of the country. NATO's Article 5 would then be activated, officially declaring war on the United States. However, the U.S. would act first by deploying its naval fleets close to Europe's coastlines. B-2 bombers would be used to strike NATO military bases while supporting ground forces landing on European soil. At the same time, the United States would take advantage of the situation to seize Greenland without facing any real resistance. Russia would also exploit the chaos, launching an offensive to capture Ukraine before reinforcing its troops along NATO's borders. As a result, Europe would descend into a state of unprecedented tension.
And that would be just a simple conclusion of that. But all right, Monty, how's you doing, bro?
I'm good. I don't know why. I don't know why they're forcing the issue.
I mean, hey, I don't know why either. I didn't think they would really put soldiers out there, but they did. They let us know where they're at with it. I'm just like, okay, great. So if Trump pulls out of NATO, now what?
Now NATO loses all of its funding and ceases to exist.
Exactly.
That's now what?
And bro, then I'm just like, so, and I'm also looking at them as well, like, so what about this whole Russian threat? I thought that was a problem as well. What happened to that?
No, apparently 55,000 people in the middle of the Arctic are more valuable than the what, several 100,000 that have died in Ukraine.
Yep, like what, over 1 million that's died in Ukraine. But now all of a sudden, these 30,000 Greenland, people in Greenland
55.
that's not in danger. Remember, they're not in danger whatsoever.
Right.
Not in danger like the people in Ukraine are, not being struck like the people in Ukraine are, but apparently it's all worth it. Just take your resources over there. After all this like parading you did about, oh, we must stick to Ukraine and work with Ukraine and be there. And I'm just like, y'all just left their side for Greenland.
Yeah, because it's the new flavor of the week. They realize that the U.S. isn't going to help with Ukraine, and so now it's a lost cause. I mean, you got Poland over there that's willing to go kill some people. They've been waiting and dying to attack Russia, but I mean, NATO itself does not want to put anybody in there.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, who would? But all right.
Called this economic warfare and called to sanction, quote, Trump's oligarchs. If the EU sanctions American firms like banks or tech firms, Microsoft, Google, X, what kind of an impact could that have on the U.S. economy?
The one thing I've learned, Jackie, is that when you are engaged in negotiation with any country and with President Trump, that you'll see both sides take very strong, extreme positions. But in the end, the president is the person who wrote the art of the deal because he's so good at deal making. And so I think right now it's really a good time for cooler heads to prevail and for us to disregard the rhetoric and get to the table and see if there can't be a deal that's worked out that's best for everybody.
Okay. This week, the president appeared to take you out of the running for Fed chair. Here's what he said.
I see Kevin's in the audience, and I just want to thank you. You were fantastic on television today. I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth. Kevin Hassett is so good. You don't want to lose him, Susie.
Are you still in the mix for Fed chair?
First, I got to say, it was like really, I was so humbled and gratified by what the president had to say about me. He is such a good guy and so gracious towards his staff. From the beginning, he and I have talked about whether it's better for me to be here in the West Wing or over at the Fed. I don't think he's made a final call on that. But I got to say that I'm even humbled still, perhaps, to be in the running with the other people like Rick Reeder, who is the person that manages like $3 trillion in debt. He's one of the biggest bond market guys in the world. Kevin Warsh, who's been at the Fed before. Chris Waller, who's at the Fed now. There are a lot of great candidates, and it could well be that the president's right to make the decision that this is the best place for me right now. We've got so much to do.
I mean, what can I say, bro? When it comes to explaining economics to the libs, yeah, you're pretty good at it. You and Scott Besson are pretty good at killing these guys when it comes to economics. So yeah, hey, bro, if you're good, if you're a better talking head than a Fed chair, please stay where you're at. Please.
Yeah.
We don't need you pulling a Pam Bondi on us. Please, we don't need no more of that. But all right, let's get into it with our guy over here. These guys over here, man. Yeah, our favorite politicians, man. Politicians of the week.
Tim Walz is gonna run for president again.
Hilarious.
LOL.
Now is Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Director, thanks very much for being here this morning. I want you to explain what has taken place here, because based on those comments that we just saw from those Democrats, it feels like the Democrats lit the match, and now they're trying to attack the agents who are doing their job. I mean, let's face it. These Democrats oversaw a wide open border where some criminals came in. 350 people on the terrorist watch list were encountered under Biden's years. And then they told citizens to get in the faces of ICE. When ICE reacted, now they're attacking ICE for doing their job. What is taking place here? Please tell us.
Hey, Maria, thanks for having me. So you're
Yep, I mean that's literally what happened. Like they literally told them, look, we want y'all to start stalking ICE, riding behind them, getting in their faces. Then when ICE starts, arresting them for obstruction, which political pundits and people on the left-wing media was promoting, now it's a problem. And now you got federal judges out here trying to tell ICE that they can't do their job, nor can they arrest people for obstruction, which is crazy. We'll see.
Did they say that?
Bro, yeah, they're literally trying to say that. The federal judge is saying that, yeah, you should go ahead and let these guys follow them. They're not allowed to retaliate against protesters. And of course, they say the word peaceful protesters and not really using the words obstruction. It's crazy. Actually, you know what?
I saw it earlier, but everything in there was kind of just standard language reaffirming the law and what they're already doing.
Exactly. There's really only like two things that were like basically basic. The other two was kind of concerning when they were saying that, you can follow ICE officers and they're not allowed to retaliate. And I'm just like, okay.
From a safe distance, and that's a subjective term. So the agency themselves can set up a perimeter 500 yards back from a vehicle.
Now think about it. They're saying this with no perimeter being set up whatsoever. Like, remember, we're talking about Minnesota here. Minneapolis.
I mean, that's just easy to scrape through. Like, what's safe to you is not safe to me. So,
yeah, but think about it like this. Now you got to understand the positioning of it. Now, if they go against that in any way, shape, or form, they're going to hit them with ICE is going against court orders. Remember what they were doing with Trump, and they were sensationalizing it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. I mean. That actually would be the best case scenario is if they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, because then the Supreme Court would be like, actually what the district court said is complete garbage.
Yeah, you're right. But it's the ride to the Supreme Court that's going to make it more sensationalized. And we're just like, bro, you're just adding oil all the way up to the ride of the Supreme Court just to get the disappointing results of where they agree with the Trump administration.
Yeah. All that's happening is we're biding our time until the Insurrection Act gets signed. That's all that's happening. It is going to happen. Don't know when, but the more they sensationalize it, the more violent these crowds get, the more ammo. Like he's just loading the clip, so to say, full of ammo, waiting to pull that trigger.
And all right, shout out to she said, "Did you see Timmy's? Do you see Timmy's new status in the state? In the state capitol? Who Timmy? Oh wait, Tim Walz?
Tampon Tim?
Nah, I didn't even know what he get demoted because I know he's not going for re-election, but he hasn't stepped down as governor. Now, I mean, he probably should just grind it out at this point.
100% right.
Do you know when the election is?
I'll say that again.
Do you know when his election is?
I think it's midterms. Well, around midterms. I think everybody's election's up around then. But shout out Toe for starting us off too. And guys, let's make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's make sure we beat the algorithm in. Also, support the channel as well. With any question, comments, jokes.
His new statue. He has a statue in the state capitol.
Oh, he has a new statue. Oh, really? I mean, I didn't know yet. Shoot, I didn't even know they was giving out statues like that anymore.
It's just a copy and paste of Colonel Sanders without his hat.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Oh, wow. I thought you was being for real about it. Okay.
That was the joke.
Okay, my
in
bad.
April, and I sent up the flare and started asking, elected officials not to stoke such dangerous rhetoric about ICE. And now exactly, you are seeing exactly what you just said. You've seen attacks on ICE officers and our other federal partners for only going out there and doing their law enforcement mission. We went to Minnesota on that criminal fraud case, over $9 billion that, Homeland Security investigations and the FBI were investigating. At the same time, we had more than 470 criminally illegal aliens this year alone since President Trump took office, re-released back into the communities. So we were out there focused on getting the worst of the worst. And if you look at our social media sites and see our press releases, you'll see consistently ICE agents and deportation officers have arrested murderers, gang members, serial rapists, people wanted from their home country for heinous crimes. Yet, unfortunately, you don't hear that. We're automatically assuming from elected officials that ICE is out there doing something wrong. And it's horrible for the fact that people say that ICE is now targeting U.S. citizens. That's not the case. We have to send more officers and agents just to protect the men and women that are out there trying to do their regular lawful law enforcement mission.
Hold on.
Is there a better way for
Wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know how they get around this? I mean, not that anybody's going to listen, but just start posting these people's criminal records. Do like every police department in the country does. Put it out on the Facebook page. Put a press release out with the narrative and the statement, and say, oh yeah, this is who we picked up today. Oh, this is the U.S. citizen and why they were detained. Here's what they did. Here's the body cam, and just keep doing that over and over again and flood the internet with that kind of information. Then that's how you refute that.
I mean, well, to be quite honest with you, you'd have to refute it to the left wing though. Like, so we'd have to depend on people like CNN and the TikToker, the left of TikTok to go ahead and spread that message. And Lord knows they ain't doing that.
Well, yeah, but you start taking the breath out of these people, because if you're saying that you're posting every single person that gets arrested and detained, and they say, oh, American citizens are getting detained, where we post all of our people that get detained. Name one of them.
That's true. And here's the thing. Hey, man, look, according to Christy Gnomes, hey, they're on the up and up. They got, 70% of the people that they locked up, they say are criminals. I was like, dang. So I guess y'all do got a hit list. And as we always knew they did, like I said, these people had a list of the people who were in here that needed to go for, probably all through Biden's administration. So they're cracking down. But all right.
Set.
Communicate your
yes.
You know darn good and well the government knows every single thing about everybody. Like you get a speeding ticket and you can't hide that stuff. So they're tracking these people. They have a list. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
Priorities. In other words, that priority is taking down criminals in this country who are committing crime, who first committed the first crime of illegally coming into the country, but then have gone on to commit other crimes. Because the narrative that the Democrats are sending out there is that ICE is going down, breaking up families, taking people who are working hard, having people be afraid to go to work. Tell us your priorities, and can you prove to us that, in fact, your ICE agents are out there taking down criminality?
100%, Maria. If you go ahead and you look at what we've done since January 20th, 70% of all illegal aliens that ICE has arrested last year and going into this calendar year have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges or warrants or criminal histories back in their home country. And, we've been focused on those that have been lawfully ordered deported by an immigration judge who failed to leave. So there's about 1.5 billion individuals in the country that have been legally and lawfully ordered deported or removed from this country by a federal judge. Unfortunately, as much press as we do, as many releases as we put out, it just, no one will pick up the fact that we are actually out there focused on our law enforcement mission. And the one thing we say all the time is, you know, these sanctuary jurisdictions, you would not see this many ICE agents and special agents on the street focused on the criminal illegal alien mission if they would just turn people over to us. That's the key.
Right.
These local law enforcement agencies have already deemed these individuals a public safety threat and arrested them. Why not work with federal partners, turn them over to us, and let us get them out of our communities?
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if all of these attacks on our ICE agents have changed the way these agents are doing their job. What can you tell us about that? Is this stopping ICE agents or changing the way they're doing their jobs in any way because they're worried that they're going to be under attack when they get in the middle of a situation?
You know, Maria, you're right in the fact that it does change the mindset of the men and women of ICE. You know, but that's why we have to provide them so much support. You know, you hear about the 3,000 federal officers and special agents that deployed to Minneapolis. Majority of those, if not most, are to protect the men and women that are out there trying to make those arrests. And that has definitely changed our tactics. Where we would go and have 5 to 6 officers on an arrest team, now you have to go with 10 to 15 just to protect those individuals that are trying to arrest a bad guy. In my 30 years of law enforcement, I never thought we would have to send law enforcement to protect law enforcement. But I don't think you'd see as many of the issues if political leaders were allowed their local and state law enforcement to work with us.
Great point.
It's never a public safety issue.
I mean, it's really that easy. If they would just allow local law enforcement to work with them, honestly, a lot of this stuff would have never happened. Renee Good would have never happened. I mean, this young man who got shot in the eye with a paintball gun, that would have never happened. I mean, this is really all on the leadership of, well, Minnesota and Minneapolis, like Tim Walz and Jacob Fry.
It could literally be 2 guys or 3 guys in a detention van picking up somebody out of a detention center, you know, in a transport back to a facility.
It could all be so easy, Monty. Oh, so easy. But hey, I mean, they want to make it hard for us. It is what it is. But all right, man, let's get over to one of these guys on the left that irritates me the most. But, you know, I still like to give him a listen. Shout out to Fareed. This guy.
Here's my take. For years now, Europe has been caricatured as too divided to act, too lethargic to decide, too comfortable to think strategically. Yet over the past year, Europe has behaved with a quiet shrewdness that contradicts that stereotype. Faced with an unpredictable United States, it has neither lashed out nor capitulated. Instead, it has adapted. When President Trump returned to office and unleashed the country's highest tariffs in nearly a century, many expected Europe to retaliate. A transatlantic trade war would have fed inflation, disrupted supply chains, and weakened already fragile growth. Europe resisted the temptation. It absorbed the pressure, avoided escalation, and bought time. That restraint prevented a downward global spiral. Then, last week, Europe acted. After 25 years of stalled negotiations, EU countries approved a sweeping trade agreement with Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. If ratified, it will create one of the world's largest free trade zones by population, more than 700 million people. Nor is the outreach to Latin America an isolated move. In recent weeks, Brussels and Beijing have signaled that they've resolved a fresh set of trade frictions that had threatened to turn into a broader confrontation over EV subsidies and market access. Europe remains wary of China's industrial policies and its political system, but the EU now views China as a necessary partner. At the same time, Europe has accelerated its outreach to Southeast Asia. The EU now has trade agreements in force with Singapore and Vietnam, has concluded negotiations with Indonesia, and is pushing ahead with talks.
So it makes sense. Basically, they've accepted, honestly, well, Chinese dominance, Chinese economic dominance. They've accepted it. They've picked their side. And this is what that man Carney was talking about when he says, you know, China's whole new world order. This is what he's talking about. They've accepted that, you know, we're choosing China as the winner, and we rather align with them and go within their interests than aligning with the United States interests, you know, even though, you know, we put the most money in their pockets. Ain't that crazy, though?
Remember 15 years ago when conservatives were called conspiracy theorists for saying that was going to happen?
Yeah, that is the problem. It's like, hold on, so you guys are aligning more with these guys, and it's because of their economic presence. You know, they disagree with their government. They know they're basically, Jesus, same type of dictator that basically Putin is. But they never have no smoke for China though, like that. No, it's actually crazy that they're harder on their own countries about their carbon footprint than China, and China has the biggest carbon footprint. So it's just so hilarious. It's just like, it all makes sense now. Y'all was always working for China.
They're not, again, I mean, you can
Well,
say it a million times. It's not about green energy. It's not about reducing your carbon footprint. Every single thing that you hear a globalist say about some sort of kumbaya is literally designed to stop industry and stop progress in the United States. That's all it's about.
facts. All right, guys, let's make sure y'all double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
Across the region. The region, by the way, is already the EU's third largest trading partner outside Europe. This instinct to diversify is spreading far beyond Europe. Consider Canada. For 3 decades, Ottawa made a clear strategic bet that its future lay in ever deeper integration with the United States, economically, diplomatically, politically. More than 75% of Canadian goods exports flowed south in 2024. It was one of the most successful integration stories of the post-Cold War era. That trust has now been shattered. Trump's tariffs, threats to reopen trade agreements, and bizarre declarations about annexing Canada have forced a rethink. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has responded by openly seeking distance from Washington. Arriving in Beijing this week, Canada's Foreign Minister, Anita Anand, put it bluntly. It is necessary for us to diversify our trading partners and to grow non-U.S. trade by at least 50%.
Wow. And like I said, it's just like, hold on now. It's about to get real. And like I said, I think Trump might be, I hope he's playing coy because, like, are we picking and choosing now? Because this is basically what Maduro was doing. It's basically, like, they're getting way too close. It said, we're going to decrease our trade by you guys by 50%. We're going to go over here to China and we're going to basically bring their influence over into our hemisphere with no military force. Oh, yeah. And not to remember, we still want your military to protect us while we're doing this, by the way.
Hold on. Look at the writing on the wall then, because their biggest export is oil. And we like accurately said, take 75% of that. Think about where all that oil comes from. The eastern part of Canada, not the west, not Ottawa. It comes from Alberta, and that is the same province that wants to secede from Canada, and has a growing movement of people that want to secede and become their own thing or become part of the United States. So he is unknowingly, Ottawa is forgetting to listen to Albertans and provinces in that area, and they're gonna lose them as territories.
Man, I mean, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you want to run over to the United States where you can actually, I don't know, not be abused? Yeah, own a gun and not be abused by, the poor economic habits of, of the surrounding provinces.
The folks on the west side or the east side, my bad.
Oh, man, that's tough. Yeah, it's pretty much. So you tell me the folks on the east side is the ones who just have the poor economic policies, but because of all the money that's made on the west side, it's all good.
Yeah, and that's the biggest gripe. If you listen to any Canadian, there's a couple of Canadian people that run podcasts as well, and that's the political movement. Is like they don't listen to us on anything that we want. And could you imagine, like the people from that side of the country are like your deep South and Midwestern type in the United States. They are not going to go for this. China coming in and telling them what to do. Oof.
Over the next 10 years. That is not hedging. It is a strategic reversal. China's trade data reveal that the world is not de-risking from Beijing, but from Washington. Despite sharply reduced exports to the US, China's overall exports continued to rise. Its trade surplus surged to nearly $1.2 trillion in 2025 as shipments to Latin America, Africa, Europe, and much of Asia expanded rapidly. Tariffs did not wall China off from the world. They encouraged many countries to keep trading with Beijing. Public opinion reflects the shift. A major new poll by the European...
Actually, the goal was never to get people to stop trading with China. Remember, the goal was actually get a fair deal with China and to pretty much kill the trade deficits, which was the goal. I mean, I don't know who told you that. Like, the goal was never to honestly, to get these guys to break away from China, especially these guys in Africa. I mean, let's be real. Now, Latin America, I mean, trust me, we kind of proved with Maduro what we're willing to do about that. But as far as Africa and the EU, yeah, we were never trying to honestly, if we wanted to, we could. We were never really trying to bring them out of China or stop them from doing business with China. We'd have put tariffs on these guys all throughout the land for even working with China, just like we do with Iran. We could have did this.
It's just more spin on what we already know, but
yeah,
like all we want is to not have a trade deficit where 80% of our useless goods comes from China and we get nothing out of that.
Yeah, I mean,
that is the definition of free trade is you get,
Fareed, I mean, brother, you missed the goal on tariffs. That was not the goal, to sit there and get everybody to de-risk from China. Actually, people should de-risk from China because China is like running on debt on top of debt on top of ever-crushing debt. That's why they should do it. That has nothing to do with the trade war that we're in with them. It's just we're wondering how long they can keep stacking debt on top of debt, just like us, before they
forcing. All Trump's doing is forcing everybody to show their hands. And now that they've shown their hands, and that's why he said earlier, is like, I don't know if NATO would have our backs because they seem to be in bed with all the globalist types that are reliant on China.
Yeah, and that wants our failure. And I mean, that's pretty much your NATO going like, yes, congratulations. You were in a den of snakes the whole time. We were in an alliance with a bunch of countries that want our failure. Crazy.
But not so much that they don't fail.
Encourage many countries to keep trading with Beijing. Public opinion reflects the shift. A major new poll by the European Council on Foreign Relations finds that in key emerging powers, India, Brazil, South Africa, the share of respondents who would prefer their country join an American-led bloc rather than a Chinese one dropped by between 15 and 19 percentage points in just 2 years. Among 10 European countries, only 16% now describe America as an ally. A majority still consider the U.S. a key partner, even as views of China remain mixed rather than warm.
Run that back.
Singapore's
Run that. He said out of 10 countries, 16% of them.
Yep, let's see.
Dropped by between 15 and 19 percentage points in just 2 years. Among 10 European countries, only 16% now describe America as an ally. A majority still consider the U.S. a key partner, even as views of China remain mixed rather than warm. As Singapore's former Foreign Minister George Yeo put it recently,
16%, but we pay for their low pharmaceutical costs, we pay for their socialized health care. 16%.
Trump is fast forwarding the future towards multipolarism. What is at stake here is not America's image, but its
Here's
future.
the thing, though. What's kind of crazy, as an American, I would have to ask him. I'm like, bro, how does this not infuriate you? You're kind of pointing this like, bro, whose side are you on? Like, are you on America's side or are you on their side? Because shouldn't this kind of infuriate you that we kind of do so much for these countries, yet they go to our enemies? We can all admit that China's our adversary. We can all admit that they have an authoritarian government. So why are we all sitting here praising that they're going towards China? Like, whose side are y'all on again? Can't be ours.
Power. China is methodically building one of the most resilient economic ecosystems in modern history, dominating critical mineral processing, achieving scale in batteries and electric vehicles, and diversifying export markets to withstand shocks, sanctions, and tariffs. The only credible U.S. response is not tariffs, which over the past year have coincided with declining manufacturing employment, but ecosystem building of our own. The U.S. still has an extraordinary advantage, a vast network of allies and partners that together control most of.
Yep, and that's the problem. These guys don't believe in America. They believe in, well, they believe in other countries more than they believe in America. Think about it like this. You know how much propping up he did at China more than his own country? I mean, I'm be real with you, and this is why a lot of people be saying, oh, well, these foreigners and all this good stuff. I'm be real with you. Yeah, when they talk like this, I get why people say that. It's like, bro, you didn't say not one thing good about America. And then you said the best thing about America is our alliance to these guys who are stabbing us in the back. Are you serious? And this is CNN, by the way. And this is what I always said, bro. CNN, they be holding water for the CCP. It's absolutely hilarious how they do it in our face, though.
Ecosystem building of our own. The U.S. still has an extraordinary advantage, a vast network of allies and partners that together control most of the world's advanced technology, capital, skill, labor, and consumer demand. In theory, that coalition could source critical materials from friendly countries, spread manufacturing across trusted partners, share research, and anchor markets that remain open and predictable. In practice, America has squandered much of that advantage by treating allies as transactional customers.
Bro, wow. That's exactly how they treat us. But when we pretty much do them the same, now you're saying that we're the transactional ones. That's literally what these countries been doing to us. You pretty much ain't even want to say nothing about how, you know what, we got pretty diverse ways of tackling trade as well, but you just want to pretty much say that, oh, well, we're nothing without what, these foreign countries that don't like us by your numbers. By your confirmed numbers, you're saying, well, yes, our greatest tool is the countries that don't like us.
Set.
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So what he said does not make sense, like numbers wise. He said out of 10 countries, 16% of the country. You can't have 16% of 10. That'd be 1.6. You can't, it's either a country is or isn't with the US. So I think that number is bullshit.
I mean, you know, it could be one country with us and then one country that's 60% with us. There you go.
I mean,
unlikely, but hey, I mean, it may. I
think he's just saying things.
I'm weak, but I mean, it's actually, honestly, it's just crazy how he comes off, and that's what's kind of like, you know, pees me off about Fareed here. It's like, bro, you're not really an American, to be quite honest. You do too much pom-pom shaking for the globalists and for other countries. Like, when you sit there and you literally tell Americans to their face that our greatest tools is what? Our greatest thing about us is our foreign allegiance to countries that don't like us?
We
really,
our greatest,
like, bro, back in the day, our best tool was the American people. I mean, what happened to that?
What does any of our allies, like, I want the NATO alliance to be a thing, but which one of our allies can do anything that we can't do 100 times better?
I mean, nothing, honestly, but like I said, these guys are already chosen who they want to be with.
Yeah, how are any of those countries an asset to us then?
Not anymore. I mean,
we're a single dad with 10 kids. That's what NATO is.
That don't like us and that don't call us on our birthday.
That don't like us, that want to go live with mom.
Bruh. So, yeah. This is kind of awkward because it's almost like, yo, the fact that you're speaking for the the globalists, I love it. I love it. You're pretty much telling us what they think. And you're telling us, yo,
show us your hand.
We're your best asset. Do what we say, or we're going to go to your biggest adversary. I'm like, whoa.
That's horse manure.
Yeah, I mean, This is a lot. Okay. All right, man. Well, we'll see how this works out for you guys.
Weaponizing tariffs against them and turning long-standing commitments into shakedowns. Washington has encouraged others to hedge. Most extraordinarily, The US is no longer the trendsetter. It is retreating to protectionism and nationalism, while the world is searching for more trade and cooperation. For decades, the global order was built on an American platform. Trade flowed through US-designed institutions. Security rested on US guarantees. Crises were managed, for better or worse, by Washington. The global agenda was set in America. That platform still exists, but the world is no longer building on it. It is building around it. President Trump announced additional 10% tariffs going to 25% on imports from several of America's closest allies, including the UK, France, and Germany. The move is part of his increasingly serious effort to pressure Denmark to give up the semi-autonomous territory of Greenland. For more, I'm joined by two former top State Department officials. Richard Haass is the President Emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations, served as Policy Planning Director under President George W. Bush. Anne-Marie Slaughter is the CEO of the think tank New America. She held the same job at the Obama State Department. Richard, this strikes me as perhaps the greatest crisis in transatlantic relations, because, I mean, you have the NATO member state, the United States, essentially threatening to annex territory from another NATO member state. Where does it go from here?
You know, Fareed, we talk about all sorts of difficult issues on your show, what to do about China, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, Venezuela, what have you.
I mean, do y'all? Because bro just spent a good, 7 minutes kissing their ass. I'm not sure about that. Like, he said what to do about China and all this good stuff. Like, no, I don't know about that, bro. You doing a lot of
they're talking about what to do with they're talking about it. They're going to bend the knee to China.
Yep.
Because they buy into that whole, oh, China has a big navy. We gotta watch out for China.
I'm weak. Hey, I guess we do. Apparently, these guys took it and they believe in it. They believe in it more than they believe in the United States, which is crazy. Cool. That's how, that's the thing, though. I'll sit there and I'll be like, all right, they got a navy and all that, but I'll never sit there and say that. Well, honestly, their navy's better than ours, because the way they talking. Sounds like that's where they're going.
They don't have a whitewater navy or a blue water navy. Like they cannot project power. They can defend their coastline and badly at that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only reason they ever really threatened Taiwan is because Taiwan is off their coastline.
Yeah, exactly. Notice how they're not threatening, I don't know, Pearl Harbor. At least Japan had the balls to do that.
Yeah, hey, man, they were a different breed back then.
You've called President Trump an idiot for his push to take control of Greenland, and you've said that Congress can't take any chances of allowing that to happen. You've met with the foreign ministers of both Denmark and Greenland this past week. How are they reacting to President Trump's threats?
Look, they're shocked, and they're trying to find reason within what's happening here. And I tried to explain to them there is no reasoning. Right, the president just wants to have a legacy piece where he gets to claim that he brought in this big chunk of land that he sees on the map, even though it's distorted map, and he's willing to ruin our whole foreign policy, all of our alliances, our economy, just so he could get what he wants. This man is doing everything for himself and nothing for us. Even the idea of buying it, we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars, potentially $500 billion, which is never going to happen. But right now, we can't even afford health insurance for U.S. citizens, and we're talking about buying land. And let me just say one more time, Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark and Greenland has said, we will give you everything you want, short of giving you possession of our land. You want more bases, you get more bases. You want to put more people, you get it. The idea that we're going to waste money for everything we want is the dumbest decision we can make. The only person who can make a decision this dumb is someone that would actually let a casino go under. And guess who's president right now?
This threat that he put out yesterday.
Wow.
Just to remind viewers.
Now, like I said, they say that, but I'm like, bro, the only person that's being dumb is NATO. Because if they lose that American support, they're cooked. They're cooked.
I want to address something he said at the very beginning. Are we really gonna stoop down to 5th grade geography? Oh, he just wants what he thinks is a big thing on the map, like the president doesn't know that distortion is a thing.
Like, bruh, I mean, here's also the thing. I mean, you're acting like there isn't no type of value but the size of Greenland on the map. It's like, bro, are you dumb? Like,
Gosh,
look,
man.
like, bro.
I think he thinks we're dumb. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, that's the problem. They do think we're that dumb, but here's the thing that when we explain to them, there's a lot of molybdenum there. And do you know what molybdenum's used for? Well, yes, how we make our high temperatured metals for our jet. And we don't have that, then we can't fulfill none of these orders that we're taking in for all these Middle Eastern countries. And of course, NATO countries as well, apparently themselves. So it's kind of funny how they're getting in the way of that. But then again, like I said, it does seem like they want us to be beholden to China just like they are, while running off of our welfare.
That's hilarious, man. I can't wrap my head around that. It's like they're biting the hand that feeds them.
Yeah. And then we're just supposed to sit there and just watch them do it and not feel no type of way about it. Actually, we're supposed to feel shame because, look at what our allies are doing. No, this is all because of Trump. No, Trump just exposed how you guys really are and who you guys really stand with and who your values truly align with, honestly. And it seems like it aligns with the authoritarian regime of the CCP. So don't ever talk to us about Putin ever again because y'all aligning with China. Don't ever talk to us about Putin ever in y'all life.
We need to form an alliance with Russia.
At this point, I'm almost just like, all right, cool. If that's how y'all acting, you want to work with the enemy, so can we. But people really lose their mind if we did all that.
Screw it.
But a very serious threat, 10% tariffs on these European countries starting February 1st, and then an additional 25% in June 1st. Elena, you cover the White House. Where's this heading? That's the question so many people have. He is not backing down despite we're seeing so much pushback in Congress, around the world, in America's closest allies. Where's he going with this?
Look, I'll say a lot of this is coming. Obviously, this was ratcheted up rhetoric in the days after the Venezuela operation. Yeah. The president is feeling very, very emboldened after the success of the capture of Nicolas Maduro and what they were able to do there. And that's part of what's happening behind the scenes. I'd remind you, this is something Trump has wanted for several years. He tried and failed during his first term to try and see what he could do about getting a portion of Greenland, annexing Greenland, not to this extent, but wanted to do this and was essentially told he couldn't by the people around him then. Now he is very much emboldened to trying to see what he can do here. And I will say, despite a lot of uneasiness, I'd argue, behind the scenes, even at the White House from some of his top advisors about this idea of potentially using the military to go in and try to gain control of what is a Danish territory and undermining NATO to do so. The president believes that this is a legacy building thing for him. And that's what I think a lot of this comes down to.
Here's the thing. It doesn't really have to be undermining a NATO. If anything, NATO could have just stood to the side, allowed the sale of Greenland, and that'd have been that. They didn't have to get involved. No, NATO is actually undermining us. They're the ones who put troops in Greenland. So you can't say that we're undermining them when we literally stated our plan. And all of a sudden, now Greenland's the most important thing to these guys when they're supposed to be focused about, I don't know, the bloodthirsty dictator on y'all borders, like the one y'all like to complain about, the one you've been complaining about the past 2 years. But all of a sudden, though, Greenland's just so important. It's rich. And let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
Particularly when you look at the foreign policy thing here, he believes that the Arctic region needs this type of security, not just for national security reasons because of aggression from China and Russia, but also for missile defense systems. Yeah. I'm getting in the weeds here, but I'll just say this is something he very much believes is necessary. And so the politics around it is actually almost secondary to what he believes will be a legacy building thing for him.
Natural resources.
Exactly.
Right? He's been saying this is all about national security, but I remember when Mike Walls was coming in as
No, it is about national security. It's about natural resources. We're being pretty open about this. I'll give it to the Trump administration. They've been pretty open about what they want with Greenland. The molybdenum, the rare earth, which is a rare earth mineral, and other rare earth minerals that Greenland is rich in, the strategic military position in the Arctic that it has. Everybody's being open about this. The only problem is that, apparently they don't want it for us. It is what it is.
national security advisor, and he also
Yeah.
mentioned critical minerals, right, that are under some of the ice there in Greenland as well. I think the emboldened point is absolutely right. When I saw the True Social post yesterday, I immediately went back to when we were in the Oval Office with him and we asked him, what can stop you on the world stage right now? What do you feel is a restraint on your power? And he said, myself. He said, my own morality. And we asked, what about international law? And he brushed that aside, essentially. I don't need international law, right? Said he would abide by it, but it depends on how you define it. That's pretty relevant when you look at these threats on Greenland, particularly after military operation in Venezuela. Absolutely emboldened right now. Absolutely.
And he's going to Davos this week. You're going to Davos this week as well. So we'll see how he addresses it, if he does address it there, and he meets with Europeans as well. But you mentioned the pushback that is happening and how Trump doesn't seem to care about that. The American public, this is what they said according to the CNN poll that came out just a couple of days ago. It said about, should the United States take control of Greenland? Not very popular there, as you can see. Only among independents, look at that, 82% of independent voters oppose.
I'm weak though. So overall, 25%. So Democrats said they're in favor of it. Democrats that are in favor of it, 8%. Hey, I like them. And shout out to
Those
the
are just
Republicans.
centrists.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, sure, the independents are the centrists, but yeah, you're right. They might be the hidden centrists in the Democratic Party. And then shout out to the Republicans. Of course, 52% would be all for this, of course. Then opposed. Now we got what, about 75% is what they're saying, 92% of Democrats, 47% of Republicans, and 82% of, well, independents. And here's the thing. They're really only opposed to this, well, because they don't really see the value in it. And they don't understand, well, the strategic value in it. I'm pretty sure if you explain this to a lot of people, they would have to sit there and be like, okay, yeah, we do kind of need it.
What's your honest opinion on it? Like you've kind of analyzed all the things that are happening, but what do you think?
What about Greenland?
Yeah, like how should we get it? Should we not get it? Why? Why not? How are we going to get it? Why?
Oh no, we should. Oh well, I'm be honest with you. Yeah, we should go ahead and take it. We do need it for the resources, and they are getting in the way of our interests. And I do know that, well, Russia and China does have a heavy position in the Arctic. So I don't like when our main adversaries kind of leave us behind in certain places. So it's just like, yeah. And China, they already dominate enough of rare earth minerals. And then they're already heavily invested in Greenland. So taking Greenland would be to our best interest. It would further help us out when it comes to rare earth mineral production or manufacturing and all that good stuff, or refinery. So I see honestly nothing but positives getting into Greenland. But the problem is, though, I think all of our enemies see that as well. Because why are they kicking and screaming like this?
How should we do it? Should we, I mean, are you of the like by any means necessary crowd, or are you the should make a deal and get it?
I would want to buy them out.
Yeah.
I would want to buy them out, but I'm gonna be honest with you. They like a lot of, here's an argument against that though. People say, well, American affordability and all that. And y'all got $700 billion to give to Greenland. And for an investment that might not work out for us until who don't know when. Well, probably like 5 to 10 years. But then if we take it, by military force, I don't know if it's cheaper.
Which would also be expensive. No,
it would be pretty damn expensive, but I mean, probably cheaper than 700 billion. I know that.
Yeah.
And
are you of the by any means necessary crowd?
Not really. I'm gonna admit, not really. I would honestly hope that they would just buy it from them, but not for $700 billion.
Yeah.
They ain't worth all
10 years. 10 years of free NATO support.
That'd be nice too. Yeah, 10 years of maybe free. Actually, I don't even know if we're gonna be a part of NATO anymore. Like the way they're posturing against us. Like I'm gonna be real with you. If I was Trump right now, I'd be the biggest savage in the world. I'd be like, bro, we're out of NATO. And and you guys are now enemy combatants. We'll be there within 48 hours. Now, you can pick what you want to do. You got 40 hours to get out the region, or you will be fair game. And whoever got anything to say about it, please step up and let me know. And most likely they will back down while calling me a dictator.
But I mean, so that's a tricky thing, right? A lot of people join the military knowing that they're join their country's military, knowing that the Americans are on their side, right? So
Yeah.
could you imagine, you joined the Danish army or the British army or the British Royal Marines, and now you're in Greenland, and then the United States just says, "Oh yeah, now you're an enemy combatant." Could you
Yeah, you're about
on
to
a personal level,
on a personal level, bro, you'd feel screwed. Like, I can only imagine the emotions that you would feel like, bro. We're talking about the best army in the world. We're talking about, like, bro, the best army in the world, and they're about to come over here, and you want us to fight them? Like, yeah, they're not doing that. I think this is all for posturing. They're just trying to show that they're, I mean, in unison with Greenland. But here's the problem, though. It don't matter. Like, when Trump said hemispherical dominance, I think he should stick to that. Honestly, I think he should go full hemispherical dominance. And like I said, just leave, like, bro, just leave Iran to Russia, leave the Indo-Pacific to China, and we'll just handle everything over here. And just run
I
it
mean,
our way.
my position. We just need spherical dominance.
Man, that's it. Yeah, this hemispherical dominance, and I'm good with
spherical.
Whoa, all
the
of
whole
it?
thing.
Nah, no, whoa, Monty. Whoa, that's a little too much right there. Oh, please explain.
I mean, I don't think we should everything should have an American flag on it, but I think we should have our government or our style of government, or at least heavy influence in China as they have here. I think we should have heavy influence in Israel as they have here. I think we should have heavy influence in Russia as they did over our economy, in Iran. All of the people that want to play a problem on the world stage, they need to be knocked down a peg. Because that's why we're in this position, is because we've allowed people to, keep climbing up with us, and now they feel like they can challenge us.
I would say this. I would be okay with them just sticking on their side, and from the tip of Canada all the way down to the bottom of South America is all America.
Ours.
Now. Yep, all ours. Now it's gonna suck for our, immigration guys, because we're gonna have to stop immigration because they're American citizens now. We still locking up, but now they're just gonna be locking up criminals, I guess.
I mean,
like, hey, Dems, if we take over all this hemisphere, we can abolish ICE then. Like, think about it.
We could. That would be a good compromise. We just own North, and it'd be the American Union instead of the European Union.
Exactly. And look, man, everybody's an American citizen now. You're right. It would be wrong to deport them. Shoot, we'd be deporting them back to America, or what used to be Mexico.
You get deported out of a state now?
Yes, you're getting deported out the state. Like, that'd be tough. So, it is what it is.
Just 52% of Republicans are in favor of it, which is not a good number for Trump, who's usually in the 80s and 90s when it comes to GOP support, but significant opposition across the board there. And then on Capitol Hill, there was actually a delegation in Denmark while Trump was making this tariff threat. Tom Tillis, a Republican senator, said the fact that only a small handful of advisors are actively pushing for a course of action to seize territory of an ally is, quote, beyond stupid. And then Lisa Murkowski, another Republican, called this unnecessary, punitive, and a profound mistake. So, but these are the people who support NATO. They're support,
which is hilarious.
Greenland. They wanted to show support for Denmark. So perhaps not surprising they're saying this, but Trump doesn't seem to care about this.
These Republican senators and lots of people have wanted to pretend that this is not a real thing for a very long time, dating back to 2019 when Trump first began floating this. I think this tariff threat is the latest sign that they need to take this seriously. And those senators that believe in the importance of NATO probably need to reckon with the idea that even the things Trump is doing shy of a military invasion of Greenland.
NATO has decided to protect Chinese assets. They are protecting the assets of our foreign adversaries. I'm sorry, but NATO is no longer on our side. I know the CNN is not going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you right now. They are protecting the assets of the Chinese Communist Party as China further aligns themselves with China in trade. I'm sorry, but we're just going to call it out. NATO is not our friend.
Check the Polymarket data I just got. So 25%, according to CNN, oppose that. But go ahead and look at the prediction for by March 31st.
All right, let me see here.
Could really damage that alliance over the long term. Maybe they need to do something about this because he does appear to be serious about it. So I think in the coming days, it's going to be really telling to see how some of these members talk. Do they talk like Tom Tillis talks? Do they talk like Lisa Murkowski? Do they start to talk about something we saw recently with Venezuela, which is a war powers resolution that would somehow restrict
39%? Let's see. Oh, wait. Here it is.
38.
Well, 38%.
That's chance of a deal. That's chance of a deal. There's also 20% chance that
he just takes it.
Military. Yeah, he just takes it. So this isn't small potatoes. We're moving up on the predictive markets, which, I mean, you can take whatever you want out of them. It's politics, so anything can happen, and it's Trump, and so anything can happen. But that's not small potatoes.
Yeah, it's not. And to sit there but that's the thing though. A lot of people are understanding where this is going and that Trump is actually serious. He's literally saying, look, we can etch out a deal or we're going to take it. And I'll be honest with you. It kind of sounds better if we took it because $700 billion is a lot. Be honest with you. I don't think the American people going to be like, we're not going to want to come up off that, to be honest with you.
I mean, $700 billion would have it. Like all of the minerals and stuff inside of Greenland are worth that. Not to mention,
I mean, if we can get refinery going already and get money making like within like the first year or two, then okay, this could be something great. But if not, man, it's gonna be tough. Like, it gotta have immediate results. Like, I don't know, like taking the oil out of Venezuela, bro. You know what we're doing with that oil now, bro? We sold like 500, bro. We sold $500 million of Venezuelan oil to Qatar, just so they can go ahead and just so we can go ahead and hide it from the debtors of from the debt collectors that want their money from Venezuela.
Oh my
like
gosh.
China, Russia, like through judicial action that they were supposed to seize a lot of assets in Venezuela. Basically, they're supposed to seize their oil. That was their collateral. We took their collateral and we transported it to another country in order to evade it. I was like, hey, yo.
Bro, America's now the deadbeat dads trying to avoid child support.
Literally. And this is one of the reasons why China is further infuriated with us, because it's basically like, bro, you took our collateral. It's like, yeah, we did. And we took it to our homies in Qatar, and now they're playing with it.
So there's something to be said about Greenland and like shipping routes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little bit off base, but there's a part of the reason a lot of our inflation, like a small but significant part, is like none of the big like super ships that can dock in America. Can't dock because the ports are not deep enough on the East Coast, and we don't have rivers that go inland on the West Coast. So those super big, like 20,000, 40,000 plus container ships can't dock in America. So shipping is more expensive to America now. If we can get Greenland and have one of those ships that can dock there and then disperse and then send a bunch of little ships to America, we could save a lot of money on shipping costs and whatnot, thus making things cheaper for the American people.
All right, sure, I actually agree. But all right, though.
You know what I mean?
Trump can do. Do they?
Yeah, no, I know
talking
exactly
about
what you mean, actually.
reining in his tariff authorities. I think it's difficult to believe they would ever do that because that would be a huge rebuke of Trump. But those are the levers that are very much available to them if they feel strongly.
And Aaron, you actually have a good piece here about just how the GOP's non-interventionist phase is over, because you're seeing not just in Greenland, but
literally
other...
like it is. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's kind of funny though, because we're kind of like, I wouldn't say, honestly, it depends who we're talking about. I'll just be real with you. It depends who we're talking about. If it's Iran, then non-interventionist, we kind of stand on that one. But I don't know if it's Venezuela, Greenland, for some reason. I mean, we're seeing the benefits in this. We're seeing the benefits in this, and pretty much. And here's the thing: this is one of our main problems with Iran is that, I mean, like, bro, we want to focus on China more, and taking Chinese influence out of Latin America and Greenland and all this good stuff. And be honest with you, that's going to give us more bang for our buck than regime change in Iran. It's going to be real. So it is what it is.
What happened to the president who was not going to be involved in rebuilding or intervening? Military restraint. And over the weekend, he also threatened Iran's supreme leader, calling him a criminal and saying that, this is called him a sick man who should run his country properly and stop killing people. He told that to Politico over the weekend. This is not a isolationist president.
No.
4,800 people is a lot.
I think that's a faction of his base interpreted America first to be isolationist. To me, the through line with Trump's approach on the global stage has always been transactional, right? This is the latest iteration of America first. He even had a comment of this years ago that America first is really what he makes it, right? And this period is showing that. I think you're still seeing the transactional element on the global stage. But
honestly, I don't think you guys are just judging it. Honestly, it's like you're not really trying to say, well, what are the benefits to this? Why are we doing this, and what are the benefits?
Yeah,
let's actually talk about that instead of how butthurt our allies are.
This gentleman is actually laying it out the best I've ever heard a Democrat lay it out. Is it's not isolationist and we're just going to stay to ourselves and let the whole world run around us. No, it is we are going to be transactional because the world has been transactional with us for, ever since the end of World War II. We're just looked at as the billy club for the world to do whatever they want. And we just have to shut up and take it because we're the richest country on earth.
Yep, and that's the problem there, though, is that they wanted to continue that relationship, and if we go outside of it, well, anybody who thinks outside of that, well, you're the bad guy, apparently, for wanting, well, what's best for your country. And that's the kind of the weird thing that the Dems were never really able to argue against when it came to the whole tariffs, because you got to understand, like, really think about it. It's all being really exposed now. It's like we got people who want other countries to win more than their own.
Yeah, and that's. And I'm glad that it's being exposed because it will show people that everybody's been freeloading off of us, and that the people that claim to be for the American worker are actually happy that America's been freeloading off of our industry and our people. We can't have a middle class anymore. It's getting more divided because of things like this.
Yep, and this is what's kind of irritating because, like I said, as soon as we start trying to make good moves for ourselves, like Greenland, because we need rare earth minerals, we need this stuff to boost our manufacturing. Like, this is all part of our plan. Like, this is why I like going after Greenland, because, bro, this is a key part here. I remember in the beginning when he was talking about Greenland, I was low-key in the green, so I was like, I mean, yeah, if we could work out a deal with them for rare earth minerals, but taking it is also, honestly, that's a great plan too. Why? Because now, I mean, it's honestly less expensive to actually just go in there and own Greenland and have to work out a deal with them where we got to kind of split it out with them.
Think about all the naval bases we could put up there. We could have an East Pack, a West Pack, and a Greenland Pack fleet, and we can point those ships anywhere because believe it or not, a lot of our ships on the east side of the eastern seaboard of the United States are all in Norfolk, Virginia, all in one spot. And it's a little bit more dispersed on the West Coast because China's a big threat right now, but it's still all in one spot. Our sub base is up in Bremerton, Washington. We have some carriers and stuff out in California, and we have some destroyers and whatnot in Pearl Harbor, but that's not, the diversity is a lot stronger on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast.
But hold on, just go back to this point though, real quick. It's like, well, and then we'll move on though. But here's the thing though, I just want to emphasize on the fact that that we have people in our country that would rather sit there and complain for the people that are working against our interest and align with American interests. It's really hard to sit there and call them American at that point. It's like, it really is, because it's kind of almost like, well, in my eyes, I know, and honestly, when I see this, it is, well, yeah, we know they think like this, S.E.T. Yeah, we all understand they're globalists. But there's a lot of people who actually think that these guys are the best example of Americans. And I'm just like, how can you think this is the best example of American when he don't praise you? He praise, foreigners. He don't praise
Well,
you.
check
He don't try to boast about the American economy. He praises the Chinese economy.
Check this, Set. So this globalist ideology is actually, I would say, not a noble ideology, but I see where it's coming from because this came from the end of World War II. Like if you really trace it back, this kind of rhetoric has been being said since World War II. And it is the ideology that we don't want to get into another global conflict, that we want to, World War II was the war to end all wars, and we need to come together as a planet. And if the United States ran the United Nations, then yeah. If the UN was based in Missouri, then absolutely I could say that. But we give countries that want to take over the world a quarter of the vote. We give China, as much as they are a superpower and all that fun stuff, but we give them an equal vote. And now the people that have power want more power, and they're willing to take us out to get it.
I mean, they're willing to undermine us. Like, this is literally, here's the thing. It's like literally people in our country that's okay with other countries undermining our interests. And it's just like, all right, man.
They have no patriotism. That's what it is. They have no patriotism. They have no sense of national identity.
But here's the thing,
why?
though.
Because
Sit
it's been
there on
stolen
cable
from them.
television and convince us that they have more patriotism than, oh, well, I'm more patriot than these MAGA guys. I'm like, let's be
No, you're
real.
not.
How can you be more patriot than them when they actually want what's best for this country, bro? You're over here, honestly, like putting China on a pedestal, but you're over here downing your own country. I'm just like, what?
Because Trump is now forcing the issue. Show the American people your cards. Because this is shocking to you now, seeing it now, but it's not shocking to people like Trump. It's not shocking to people like me. I mean, maybe it's not shocking to you,
Oh no,
but
it's not shocking to me whatsoever. It's just that I
it's
just
just
love how
blatant
overt they're
now.
being with it because I love it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you. Now y'all finally dropping the mask because the mask slipped off a little bit during the tariff war. But I'm just like, hold on, are we cheerleading for China now? Like, what's going on? I thought we are supposed to be on our side. We're supposed to fight these corporations, but now you're over here shaking pom poms for the corporate elites in China. I'm like, all right, this is a mask off, like a mask off moment, but not really. Not everybody's seen it like that. Now this. They just threw the mask on the floor and said, this is who we truly are. And I'm just like, all right, then. I mean, hopefully y'all see it now.
Because if you remember, there was a lot of Republicans. I mean, I don't know how old you are. I think you're my age. But I remember this. There was a lot of Republicans that were calling George Bush a globalist and criticizing him for being a globalist. And it was kind of a bad word. It was like, how dare you say that? And the more we kind of get down this road, the more you see where the lines fall and who really wants and in order to be a globalist, you have to make everybody equal, which means you have to tear down the United States and make the United States a third world country. Like, you just have to do it because we have too much power. And
we're dealing with
what it
countries
is.
that fear our power. And this is the thing. This is like it. We're dealing with countries that fear our power. And instead of actually dealing with our power up front, they're using shaming tactics. Like, that's all they got.
They think that works. They think that has ever worked on us at all.
I mean, shoot, if that ever worked, I don't know. We might still, the Roman Empire might still be here if we was able to use shaming tactics. But all right.
Our next story takes us to Greenland. Europe has finally decided to flex its muscles there. It has deployed troops to the island. It sounds serious and ominous, right? Like Europe is arming the island of Greenland. But wait till you hear the number. Europe has sent less than 50 soldiers. Yes, 50.
Hey, I'm petty. I'm petty.
Bro.
Even one's a threat. They shouldn't have sent one soldier there, okay?
50 soldiers? Bro, I've seen convoys in America with more soldiers than that.
They sent there, bro. No, they sent 50 soldiers in a third dog sled.
Stop. You're wrong for that. You're wrong for that. The dogs have nothing to do with it. Leave those puppies alone.
Because that is hilarious. 50, that's all y'all was able to get. And y'all think y'all could, you was going to hold us off with 50 soldiers?
Oh my God. Well, so here's the thing. Here's
Great
the
joke.
thing. An attack on one is an attack on all. That's Article 5 of NATO.
Yeah.
So
If we
all
pull
they have
out
to
and we
do,
attack them, yeah.
I don't want that because that is oof.
I mean,
That'll
what,
be
NATO, well, here's the thing, though. No, here's the thing. Bro, like, come on now. But like, Monty, like, watch this. Do you not think that this is going to happen?
What would happen if the United States and NATO went to war? After President Trump's blunt declaration about taking Greenland, NATO would immediately decide to expel the United States from the alliance and impose severe sanctions. In response, the U.S. would launch a war against Canada. Within a short time, American forces would sweep through Canadian cities and take full control of the country. NATO's Article 5 would then be activated, officially declaring war on the United States. However, the U.S. would act first by deploying its naval fleets close to Europe's coastlines. B-2 bombers would be used to strike NATO military bases while supporting ground forces landing on European soil. At the same time, the United States would take advantage of the situation to seize Greenland without facing any real resistance. Russia would also exploit the chaos, launching an offensive to capture Ukraine before reinforcing its troops along NATO's borders. As a result, Europe would descend into a state of unprecedented tension.
Like, bro, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, literally.
so here's what you're not thinking about. Here's what that video does not depict. China, not a big threat for a navy. Not at all. Not in the least. China and NATO, you might actually have problems on your hands.
Man, China and NATO, I don't know about that. I don't know. If we're hitting them on their coast, nuclear submarines and all that, and if China joins in, you know what? You're right. We might have a bit of a problem, but is it something that we wouldn't be able to win with enough B-2 bombers? I think so.
Everybody's looking at this like, oh, 50 soldiers, we can roll through that. That's ignorant to think that way. An attack on one is an attack on all. We kill one
soldiers that's there. Yeah, we could roll through them, but we're not just going to roll through all of NATO. Of course, we're going to get stopped somewhere. But
if we roll through those 50 soldiers, that is an attack on NATO, even if we are a member ally.
Yes, we know this, but we're not saying it. But well, the way you presented it at first is if you're saying that we just couldn't take out those 50. So no.
I know
I
we
misheard you on that one.
Yeah. No, I know we can take out the 50, but the 50 taking out the 50 is a trigger for World War.
And they're going to want to get into. Here's the problem, though. No, this is where the problem lies, though, because I don't think China's going to get too involved, especially if Russia sees this as an opportunity to seize Ukraine. I don't think that NATO has enough. They have too much on their plate to do all of this, and they know what this can lead into. And if this guy thought about it, trust me, they're thinking about it as well. Like, yo, we over here straining ourselves trying to fight America of all people. I mean, Russia's just going to sneak up from us on the back. Because who's supplying Ukraine right now? NATO.
And
what would they have to do to fight us? Take some of that from Ukraine or to divert some of it.
I mean, but we have given them fighter jets and tanks and a lot of their equipment. We would be fighting
I know, but that's where the whole B-2 bombers come in. We just go ahead and bomb those and get those out the way. Now, look, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But right now, I mean, if it was to play out like that, I'm thinking that's like the most likely to happen. Is that they're just going to get themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place. Then they'll cry uncle and be like, yo, can we reset this? It might just be too late. Because, I mean, you got Russia on your border. Then you got America inside your border.
But we like Poland. We like Finland. We like fucking all these countries. So it'd be NATO. I don't think NATO would attack us all as one. I think it would just fall apart.
Yeah, I think people are going to pick and choose. Like, I'm not fighting America. We will. Well, I'm not. The people will start picking and choosing if it's America. That's the problem. It's like, you really want to go out there and fight America? And some guys they're going to, their government's going to sell them enough to do it. But there's going to be other countries that's like, yeah, we're not doing that. Actually, we'll pull out NATO our damn selves before we go into war with America. I mean, I thought going into NATO was to fight Russia, not America. So
right.
they might reconsider.
NATO was NATO was made right after World War II. It wasn't to fight Russia. Russia tried to get into NATO.
Oh yeah, we know that. But the whole reason why they didn't let Russia into NATO is because they needed a big bad wolf for NATO to exist.
That's true. Yes, that is true.
All right, let's go ahead and get
50 soldiers to secure Greenland. This is an island of 2.1 million square kilometers. If you do the math, that's one soldier for every 42,000 square kilometers. Now, to put that in context, that's one soldier for an area that is the size of Switzerland.
I'm sorry, it's funny when even like, you know, foreign news is
you ain't gotta do it like that, girl.
She's like, bro, why you doing him like that? Like, bro, shout out Tove. She says 50 soldiers. That is lightweight insulting. It is like, what do you think this was gonna do? 50 soldiers were gonna stop America?
ICE could deal with those 50 soldiers.
Like literally. And then here's the thing, you're right, Monty. This is to flip off in Article 5, because I mean, like, they were serious. I think they'd have put more soldiers. But apparently, I mean, they must not love Greenland as much as they love Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe it's a difference.
I wonder if there's been some backroom dealing and China is positioning itself to get into NATO.
That'd be,
you know what I mean,
bro? That'd be wild. They switch us out for China. So then, like, as America leaves, China walks in the door, and we're like, "Yeah, we're your new daddy now." And it's like, oh crap.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm in. How did World War II start? A whole bunch of secret alliances.
Yeah, that's true.
That is Europe's
World War
deterrence.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers.
And
the
a couple
breakup. France
assassinations.
has sent 15 soldiers. Germany has sent 13. Finland sent 2 liaison officers. Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, and the UK are contributing small teams.
Nah, that's disrespectful, bro. I ain't gonna lie. If I was Greenland, I'd have been like, bro, y'all making us look like some suckers out here being part of y'all at this point. Like, y'all only sent 50 for America? You know he's talking about taking us, right?
That is Europe's Arctic deterrence. Look at the numbers, the breakup. France has sent 15 soldiers. Germany has sent 13.
I mean, all right, so it seems like France is like, I guess they favored him the most.
Finland sent 2 liaison officers. Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, and the UK are contributing small teams. Altogether, you're talking a few dozen personnel. They're part of a Danish-led exercise. It is called Operation Arctic Endurance. European officials insist this is a reconnaissance mission. But the context is very clear. Europe wants to be seen in Greenland.
From today and in the coming period, there will be an increased military presence in and around Greenland of aircraft, ships, and soldiers, including from other NATO allies. Security in the Arctic is of crucial importance for both the Kingdom of Denmark and NATO as a whole.
But why now? The reason is obviously Donald Trump. He wants to take over the island. It's something that he's been talking about for 12 months now. Trump says he needs Greenland for national security, and his argument is quite simple. If the US does not control Greenland, Russia or China will.
The problem is there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. You found that out last week with Venezuela. There's everything we can do about things such as that. Not going to happen. We're not, I can't rely on Denmark being able to fend themselves off.
But here's the problem. Greenland is an autonomous territory. At the same time, it is part of Denmark. Denmark is a US ally. They're both part of the NATO, the US and Denmark. The US already has a military base on the island of Greenland. It also has full military access under long-standing treaties. But Trump does not just want access, he wants ownership.
Yep.
So what then is Europe trying to do? Europe says this deployment sends a strong political signal, a signal to Washington, and it shows how serious this is.
Bro, that's a strong signal? Bro, a strong signal would have been like 50,000 troops. That's a strong signal. 50 troops? I mean, bro, it sounds like y'all going there for training or something, specialized training at that. So what do you say? If that's a strong signal, oh man, bruh. Oh man, NATO, y'all in a very, very poor position to be trying to, I don't know, posture against anybody at this point. 50 troops into Greenland to protect them against U.S. aggression. All right. And this is why we call some of these people third-rate countries that can't complain about sovereignty.
The NATO, as you would know, was formed in 1949. This is the first time European allies are talking about deterrence against the United States. But let's talk the military reality here. Could these troops stop a U.S. move on Greenland? The answer is no, not even close. The U.S. military could capture Greenland within hours.
Yep.
It has.
I mean, bro, we could do it as worse as Venezuela. Like, we could do it, if not better. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. We could do it the same way as Venezuela, if not better. I mean, if we did Venezuela in 3 hours, we get them done in 1.5. Like, that's how easy it would be to move in on Greenland. So it's just like, what are they doing? Why are these guys there? You guys are wasting resources for nothing. I mean, honestly, they'd have better use in Ukraine. I'm gonna be honest with you. They have better use in Ukraine.
Set.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, what would taking Greenland militarily even look like? You just roll in and everybody surrenders.
I mean, bro, what are we gonna do? Shoot, bro. I mean, we're gonna shoot at their feet and they're gonna surrender. Like, we're gonna go in there, not a single life lost. Hopefully, if it came to it, I would think we'd go in there, not a single life lost, because we just start shooting at feet. Like, it's kind of insane to how they even thought this would be a good posturing. Like, bro, like I said, 10,000 to 50,000, I'd have been like, all right, you guys are sending a message here. But 50, I mean, I'm not sure who this is. I'm not sure who think this looks tough, but this is pathetic. I'll just tell you this right now. This is not tough. This is not like deterring anybody. If anything, you're just playing your hand and let us know how little you have. It'd have been better if they did nothing and just start talking shit, to be honest with you. Just start talking ish from all the way from Europe.
Airlift capacity that Europe does not. It already operates the missile warning radar from the Pitufik space base. Europe too admits that this mission is not about resistance, it's about complication. They want to complicate matters. Say American troops land in Greenland tomorrow, they won't just deal with Denmark, they will be dealing with French, German, Nordic, and British personnel. That turns this into a complicated mission.
Yep.
Well, to your first question on Greenland, I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all.
Nope.
So 50 troops won't help. But what are Europe's options right now? Currently, it has 3 real options. Option 1 is deflate. Europe needs to flatter Trump. It needs to agree that Trump has a point, and then offer more NATO cooperation. The Europeans can only hope that Trump will be swayed by this, but this seems to be their current strategy. Option 2 is proper deterrence. Not 15 or 50 soldiers, but Europe needs a sizable presence. They need to be present in Greenland either permanently or on rotational basis. Also, they need to make the consequences clear. What happens if the US violates Greenland sovereignty? What will Europe do?
Nothing.
The problem is that to do all of this, the Europeans need political courage and unity. And at this point, they have neither.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, though. If they were trying to go at us like that, I would give it to them. Like, all right, I got some balls for this. Like, y'all gonna lose. But respect, though. Respect. It's like, bro, it's like they're 150 pounds taking on a 260 pounder. It's like, bro, you're a welterweight taking on a heavyweight. So respect, but you're gonna lose.
Option 3 is waiting it out. Europe can just hope that Trump gets distracted. Midterms, China, Iran, something else. Europe can hope that Trump finds a new obsession and moves on. And honestly, it's their most realistic option at this point. So Europe's troop deployment to Greenland is not about defense. It's about sending a message. But messages only work if the sender has leverage. So Europe, as we see it, is waving a flag and hoping that it counts as a shield. We're not sure how long that will work.
The way she put that was hilarious. Waving a flag, hoping that it defends as a shield. I mean, literally, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Like the way she said it is about that pathetic at this point. I cannot believe they even tried us like this. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, you never know. You never truly know, man, with these guys. They can surprise us. I'm sorry. It's just too funny. It's too funny. All right, guys, let's go to the geopolitical side of things. We do got some updates on Iran and all this crazy stuff. But first, let's take a geopolitical spin and let's see what's going on with our people over there in Syria. We ain't heard about Syria for a while, so let's go ahead and touch base with these guys. Because apparently, Syrian army makes rapid advances as the SDF brace for Raqqa attack. Well, Raqqa, you know what? Not even going to try.
Syria's army is making rapid advances against the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. The military is moving towards the SDF stronghold in Raqqa. The army has captured the northern town of Al-Tabqa. Government forces have
Raqqa, yep, that's the name.
Taken control of several oil fields in the area, and there are reports of fighting with the SDF for control of the Euphrates Dam. Earlier, the SDF agreed to pull out of neighbouring Aleppo province. The lighting offensive has now moved into the Raqqa province. Syrian government forces are amassing heavy military equipment there. Raqqa is home to several prisons holding thousands of ISIL fighters, as well as significant oil and gas reserves.
The Ministry of Interior has entered the city of Al-Tabqa with its units and forces. The objective is, first of all, to secure public and private property. Second, to deal with any mines or explosives left behind by the SDF which may harm civilians. And third, to secure civilians and encourage them, especially those who were displaced outside the city due to clashes, to return.
Well, the town of Al-Tabqa is some 40 kilometres away from Raqqa city. The Syrian military is also building up forces east of the city near Madan. Fighting's also been reported elsewhere. Syrian state media says the SDF has been using drones in areas east of Deir ez-Zor. That's another SDF stronghold in the northeast. These are pictures from an oil field near Deir ez-Zor city. Tribal fighters allied with the government have taken control of several major oil and gas fields there, including Jafra and Konoko.
Man, and this is why we can't really get things popping off with Syria yet when it comes to, accessing the oil there. Like, we got a guy in there who's, for us, who's supposed to be helping us work all through Syria, but yet Syria is still suffering from, civil war. It is what it is, guys. But let's go ahead and get over to what's going on with Iran, because there's a lot, and man, shout out to these guys, because these are guys that are really giving us the raw details of what's going on. Damn it. Times of India. All right.
A stunning and explosive prediction is now raising alarms across the Middle East and Washington. A former U.S. ambassador to Israel is warning that President Donald Trump may attempt to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as early as next week. Dan Shapiro, who served as U.S. ambassador to Israel under President Barack Obama, made the claim in a post on X, pointing to rising tensions between Washington and Tehran. The warning comes after Iran's supreme leader blamed President Trump for fueling violence during weeks of mass anti-government protests across Iran. Trump, in a recent interview, said Iran needs new leadership and described the 86-year-old Khamenei as a sick man. Shapiro wrote that Trump's remarks, combined with what he called Khamenei's provocative messaging on social media, suggests the U.S. president could authorize a direct strike on Iran's top leader. Shapiro also noted that a U.S. carrier strike group is expected to arrive in the Middle East soon, potentially giving Washington the military capability to launch major strikes inside Iran and defend against any Iranian retaliation. Trump's comments to @Politico on needing new leadership in Iran and Khamenei's mindless baiting of Trump on X lead me to believe that Trump is going to try to kill the supreme leader this week. There will soon be a U.S. carrier strike group in the Middle East, making it easier for the U.S. to carry out extensive strikes in Iran and be prepared to defend against any Iranian response strikes. Taking that shot at Khamenei, perhaps combined with strikes on IRGC and Basij command and control nodes, would allow Trump to say he is keeping faith with Iranian protesters he encouraged and fulfilling his threat to make the regime pay for massacring them. According to Shapiro, the U.S. could also carry out broader attacks on Iranian military forces. He said such actions would allow Trump to claim he is standing by Iranian protesters he has publicly supported and following through on threats to make Iran's leadership pay for what Washington says are massacres of demonstrators. Human rights groups and international observers say thousands have been killed during the recent unrest. However, Shapiro cautioned that killing Iran's supreme leader would not equal regime change. He warned that Khamenei's death would likely lead to an immediate takeover by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, resulting in a government that remains aggressive and deeply repressive. Shapiro stressed that lasting change in Iran would not come from a single military strike. He wrote that true regime change will only be authored by the Iranian people themselves and would require sustained international support, largely through non-military means. Shapiro served as U.S. ambassador to Israel from 2011 until early 2017, and later held senior Middle East policy roles under President Joe Biden.
The world stood on the edge of another Middle East war, and then suddenly, it didn't happen. A U.S. strike on Iran was widely reported as imminent. Threats were flying, and military options were openly discussed.
I mean, yeah, people started leaving military bases. I mean, Iran was threatening to strike military bases. We thought it was on at this point. We said, all right, give it about a couple of days. And everybody's like, all right, never mind. Hold on. It's been called off. Saudi Arabia and Israel hit up Trump and was like, please don't do this to us. And here we are.
But at the last moment, President Donald Trump pulled back, claiming the decision was his alone. Now, Tehran is firing back with fury, accusing Washington of plotting to swallow Iran itself. For days, the signal from Washington was unmistakable. Military action against Iran was openly discussed as unrest ripped through Iranian cities and security forces cracked down with deadly force. Reuters reported a U.S. strike was imminent, and regional allies braced for impact. Then came the reversal. Asked directly whether foreign leaders intervened, Trump rejected the premise outright. He said no Arab state, no Israeli official, no ally changed his mind. He did. The trigger, Trump said, was Iran's sudden decision to halt mass executions of detained protesters. Hundreds of hangings allegedly planned, then abruptly canceled.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
The unrest inside Iran has been relentless. What began as protests over economic hardship spiraled into nationwide anti-government demonstrations. Activist groups say hundreds have been killed, thousands detained, and information throttled as the government cut internet access across the country. Trump publicly told protesters help is on its way, but the missiles never came. Iran's supreme leader did not welcome restraint with gratitude. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei accused the United States of orchestrating the unrest itself, calling it an American sedition, not a spontaneous uprising. He said Washington's goal was not reform, but domination, accusing the U.S. of seeking to swallow Iran entirely. Khamenei went further, calling the U.S. president a criminal, blaming Washington for casualties, destruction, and what he called slander against the Iranian nation. He framed the crisis not as Trump's policy, but as a permanent American strategy, regardless of who occupies the White House.
Yeah.
My Lord, no God but Allah.
And I mean, oh man, okay, well, I mean, trigger warning. You're about to hear from Khomeini himself, so trigger warning because, yeah.
regardless of who occupies the White House.
My lord, no God but Allah. Firstly, what is the nature of this sedition, the American sedition?
Planning things out, taking action. The goal of the Americans, let me quickly interject here, based on my extensive experience and several years spent within the Islamic Republic, I must state this clearly. America's ultimate goal is to completely devour Iran.
Correct.
There is no God but Allah. There is no God but Allah. There is no God but Allah. From the very beginning of the revolution until this very day, the oppressive dominance that they had maintained over our country, by the hands of the people, by the hands of the youth, by the hands of all segments of the people throughout the entire nation, under the leadership of the great Imam, this dominance was completely eradicated. From the very beginning, they've been planning to bring this back. They have once again placed Iran under their military, political, and economic domination. This objective isn't about the current U.S. president, mind you. It's not about the person who is president right now. This is about American policy.
This is America's policy. A country possessing these particular characteristics situated in such a critical geographical location, with all these facilities available, with such a vast expanse, and with this huge population.
They are simply unable to tolerate such a country with this kind of progress. The progress that is being made scientifically and technologically.
Oh, no, brother. It has nothing to do with the progress there. It has everything to do with, well, be real with you, more with your alliance with Russia. And I'm be real with you more with the fact that you guys kind of don't want to align yourself with the American dollar dominance. That also got a good thing to do with it as well. I mean, trust me, a lot of people want to say, oh, we care for the Iranian people. And well, we do, the American people do when we think about this, but the government is all about their self-interest and not about, liberating the Iranian people.
Sectors.
Hell yeah, and of course Russia, Russia has heavy influence in Iran. Actually, they're best buddies.
This is not tolerable for an American. We consider the President of the United States to be a criminal, both for the casualties and for the damages.
Also because of the insult he dealt to the Iranian nation.
Couple of death to Americas.
We strongly advise you to retreat immediately. Do not advance a single step beyond this point.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, off the rip, he talking spicy, off the rip. But yes, as he got a bunch of chants of all hail Khomeini and, of course, the death to America chants, this guy comes in. I believe he's one of their defense ministers, I believe. So let's hear that.
We strongly advise you to retreat immediately. Do not advance a single step beyond this point. If we really get going, we won't have any discussion about ceasefires and such. We are telling you quite frankly right now, these blows you have struck, these extensive damages you have caused over the past 50 years, all the decency and considerable patience we have shown, you are simply not paying any attention to it. If we were to once again find ourselves in that era of the holy defense, specifically the war from its second year onward, then you can be absolutely certain that very serious problems will emerge for you. You must stop right here, turn back. The Iranian nation is a highly discerning and noble people, not seeking war. But if it reaches a point where it becomes necessary to finish the task and other events unfold, we will still preserve our brotherhood and friendship with Saudi Arabia, with the Emirates, with Bahrain, with Qatar, with Turkey, and with Iraq. But no base of yours in these countries will ever be safe. They don't seem to realize that Iran is just like Russia's snow. The further Trump pushes forward, the worse his situation becomes. if he had only stepped aside after.
Which is wild as hell to say, because it's crazy that he says that. I mean, you know, the bases that you'd be attacking would be in, you know, those countries that you say you have a brotherly relationship with, which would be Saudi Arabia, Qatar. You know, you'd have to attack your brothers in religion, you know, your fellow Muslims to, you know, go ahead and carry out your, I guess, retaliation against the U.S. if we were to strike.
That 12-day war, he would have really understood the real.
Yeah.
Check the StreamYard studio.
Oh yeah, I got you. I'm weak. He can be next. I'm crying. He said he can be next. Whoops. Now put this back up.
Depth of this whole incident.
What? So I mean, we heard straight from, well, you know, Iranian officials themselves. Well, let's go to this one right here. For no mercy, executions coming. I know. Right from these guys.
Iran has forcefully dismissed U.S. claims that it halted mass executions as deadly protests and accusations of foreign interference pushed tensions between Tehran and Washington to a boiling point. On Sunday, an Iranian regional official said at least 5,000 people have been killed since nationwide protests erupted late last month.
And that's where it's coming from. Iranian officials are pretty much saying that there are 5,000 protesters, well, 4,500 protesters and 500 security men,
including around 500 members of the security forces. The official accused what he called terrorists and armed rioters of murdering innocent civilians, directly rejecting President Donald Trump's assertion that
I thought the number was like 2,000.
No. That's what they released at first. They went and updated. That's what Iran released at first. Now they updated them to 5,000.
So
and they said that it may go up, but not by that much.
It should be. I mean, so remember how we were talking like, oh, everybody kind of went home. That's probably a good reason to go home if 5,000 people just get murked. So the support might still be there. They're just scared now. Again.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But hey, we'll see. Because like I said, you're right. 5,000 people get murked, and you know, people want to turn and go inside, but that means that just one Khomeini stays in power, and the people that want him in power are, well, they're happy about it. We're not happy about it, but I mean, shit, Monty, shit. Can we be happy that somebody else is happy? Not me so much. Not in this situation. I ain't gonna lie to you. It is a pretty look. I'm being real with you. We've been working on Iran for a minute, and this is why I just say, look, man, just give it up. We've been trying to do this for a while now. We got it off a couple of times, and it just never seems to work out. I'm pretty sure we stoked protesters before. There's been bigger ones in the past. They still ride it out. We even went in there and added the Mossad and CIA. What they do? Kill 5,000 people. It's like, are we really getting the bang for our buck here, man? Are we? Nah, not so much. But all right.
Iran had backed down from executing hundreds of detainees. Trump had claimed that Tehran canceled the executions of 800 people following U.S. pressure. Iranian authorities now say that claim is false.
Oh.
Mr. President, you urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar?
Well, we're going to see. As you know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday, and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled it.
Instead, the tone from Tehran has hardened. A day after Trump's remarks, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei publicly branded the U.S. president a criminal, accusing Washington of fueling unrest and bloodshed by backing the protests. Khamenei acknowledged that several thousand people had died, but blamed the violence on armed groups allegedly linked to the United States and Israel.
We consider the American president to be a criminal. both for the casualties, for the damages, and for the accusation he made against the Iranian nation.
God is the greatest. God is the greatest.
Wow.
God is the greatest. God is the greatest.
A distinct characteristic of this sedition was that the president
Well,
of
that sounded scary, but AI translation.
the United States,
That
he
sounded
himself personally
Bro, I'm telling you, that's what scary as hell. But, well, yep, this looks like,
intervened in this turmoil,
not legit.
spoke out, made comments, and issued threats. He encouraged the instigators of unrest, sent a message from America to these individuals, and I will tell you later who they were. Keep moving forward, don't be afraid. He said, we will support you, we will provide military aid. I mean, the US president himself. He entered the sedition. He's part of the seditions. They inflicted injury on the people.
How many thousands of innocent people have these individuals murdered? Young people are also emotional. Teenagers are emotional. They are coming onto the playing field. They are doing things that they should not be doing. They're doing naughty things they shouldn't be doing. These are the infantry forces.
Iran's judiciary reinforced that message. Spokesman Asghar Jahangir confirmed that executions may still proceed, saying some acts committed during the unrest qualify as muharib, waging war against God, a charge punishable by death under Iranian law.
All right, so I guess not all 800, just the ones, like I said, that they consider war against God. I'm like, well, all right then.
Trump, meanwhile, escalated rhetorically. In an interview with Politico, he declared it was time to look for new leadership in Iran, deepening fears of external pressure turning into confrontation. Outside Iran, some reports claim around 20,000 deaths, with many under review. Iranian officials counter that the verified death toll will not rise sharply and insist foreign-backed armed groups inflamed the unrest.
The official statistics naturally should be announced by the relevant competent authorities. I personally do not possess that information. Well, this is a very important security, law enforcement, and judicial matter.
No country should ever allow its land to be used.
Be turned into a place for misuse and exploitation to act against other countries. This stands as merely one instance among the multitude of cases involving the dissemination of information and outright fabrications that were deliberately produced concerning the recent developments within Iran. These were then systematically fed to the international community, leading, in some instances, to various countries making judgments about Iran based precisely on this incorrect and misleading information.
The protests, sparked on December 28th by economic hardship, quickly.
According to these guys in Iran, they're saying don't believe that 12, 20,000. Go ahead and take our number 5,000, which, I mean, hey, most likely you're not going to take that one. And most likely most people are going to run with the 12 to 20. But hey, according to their numbers, only about 5,000 and more is to be reported, which at least they're admitting that, you know, we're still counting more bodies. I'm like, oh, okay.
It was only 500 the other day.
Yeah, I know, right? Right. Well, what was it? It was like it went 500 to 2,000 to 5,000. I was like, But then they hit us with but don't worry though, it won't go too much up after that though. If it will, but not too much. I'm like, what are you
only
saying?
about
Give me an extra 500 or something?
It's only going to go up 800 more.
I mean, yeah, I like how they're talking about it like they're just numbers. It is grimy, but okay, according to them, this was all American inspired sedition and all this wild stuff. Well, hey, at least you see how they sell it, guys. At least you see how they sell it. So you understand why some people align with the government. You got to understand it's how they sell their problems to the people. Like, we know why it's like that. It's because of their leadership, but their people most likely don't. And they're usually believing, well, what the government tells them. Oh, we're going through this inflation problem because, well, America put sanctions on us. Now, of course, there's other things that involve it besides our sanctions, but that's what they do. I mean, even with the protests, these aren't legit protests because America is involved. Do y'all really trust America? And I'm be honest with you. Like, most of the Iranian people, be real, they're probably 50-50 about that. I would say they're probably 50-50. Half of them do, half of them don't. But I'll tell you, all of them don't want foreign interference. So it does suck to say this. Huh?
My name is S.E.T. I speak for the Iranians.
Yep, my name is S.E.T. and I speak for the Iranians, my brother, inshallah. But yes, I am S.E.T. now and I speak for the Iranians because I actually have to listen to their propaganda. And what they're saying is, well, hey guys, we quelled it. Don't worry, man. 5,000 is about that. Maybe more will come out. But don't worry, guys. We're still running our dictatorship. I'm like, bro, as Lindsey Graham cries all the way to Israel.
And they're only at 3% uranium.
Yes. And they're only at 93% uranium. Okay. All right. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'll weak you through that in there. I was like, well, on paper, if you believe Iran, they've just been at 60% uranium for all this time, which is, I mean, this could be, but it's believable. You never know. If you want to believe in the fatwa and them forbidding the making of nuclear weapons, then they're not making
Killing
nuclear
people
weapons.
is also against their religion, according to them.
Yeah, I know, right? But unless they're attacks against God, of course. But whatever that means to them.
Is Khamenei God?
No, they mean an act against God would be an act against, well, Allah, Islam.
Iran,
You can remember when they were burning down mosques? I ain't gonna lie, when they started burning down mosques, like now it kind of gave them, and this is why I say this is where the agitators were a bad thing. Because when they start burning down mosques, now they can just start taking out protests and start framing it on them. Like, all right, we don't like you, you burn the mosque, you're getting executed now. Because they probably would have got executed anyway, but now they're executed as being expedited because of the burning down of these mosques. So those are the only things I would consider, or I think that he would consider, crimes against God.
So there is a doctrine in United States law and how we conduct ourselves, and it states that every citizen around the world has unalienable rights.
Shout out to China.
And so if we actually look at it like that, then everybody has the right to freedom of religion. So they should not be being executed for burning down churches.
Bruh, I mean, you're right, but you burn down a church in America, your ass going to jail.
But you're not getting executed.
That is true. You're not. Well, no, you're right. You're not.
No, I was going to say you cannot find me a single case of somebody burning a church and getting executed.
Nah, but hey, what can I say, man? They take that religion seriously. Look, bro.
But if you're a Christian,
hold on. We can't sit there and apply the Constitution to people who don't even have the Constitution as part of the foundation of their government.
No, so our Constitution, our Bill of Rights is not our Constitution. They're amendments to our Constitution, and we have declared.
Yes, but you see how it's a big kind of ridiculous to try to like put our laws on them.
Not
two
laws,
different cultures, two different religions, like two different standards here.
They're considered fundamental rights, which means they're endowed by God. So every man.
See, that's being an ideologue, and that's not you're thinking, but you're not being fair. You're applying a Christian value on their Muslim values or their Islamic values, and that to them, that's not flying.
We worship the same God.
You're right, but these are different. But these are our values. These are what we hold personal to us. So this whole freedom of religion and people have the right to freedom of speech and all that good stuff. Yeah, Islam believes that too, but to a certain extent. So think about it, you're right.
As long as you don't rise up against the supreme leader,
or you don't, of course, the main stitch here is Islam. As long as you don't assault the prophet or Islam in any way, shape, or form, it's all good.
You want to know what validates what I'm saying? The fact that we're giving Maduro due process. He's not an American citizen. He's entitled to due process.
I mean,
That is
not really. That doesn't really validate what you're saying because you're trying to apply a standard of our standard on the Iranian people.
That's a constitutional right.
Not to us, our constitutional
It's the
right.
Fourth
That's
Amendment
our. I mean, the Constitution ain't the Constitution of the world, Monty.
No. So the Constitution is not the Constitution of the world, correct? However, when we deal with things, we treat everybody as if we would treat our own citizens,
Well,
i.e., by giving them constitutional rights. And if we're going
yeah,
to
okay,
say,
well, okay, go ahead.
If we're going to say that all men are created equal, the men that they're burning for exercising protesting rights doesn't really sit with that doctrine. And if we're going to, you want the liberals that say, oh, we got to be the world's police force. Well, rules for thee, not for me, I guess.
I would say this. I hope these protests don't get bad. You want to know why? Because can you imagine if we had something like this of our own, where we got a whole bunch of foreign people like throwing agitators in there, trying to assault ICE officers to the point where military got to come in and might actually have to shoot some of these people. I mean, that's where it kind of gets sticky.
We already have that set. We have Somalis in our
Yeah, but they're not out there trying to agitate people to, go against ICE. I mean, we got our own doing that, bro. I'm be real with you. Come on now. We got white liberals doing that more than the Somalis.
My guy. Did you not see the man with the Mexican face tattoos that broke into
But come on now, but he wasn't Somali though.
But he was a foreigner.
That's true. But let's be honest. But wait, we all know who's letting them do this, and the only reason who they do it through would be our fellow American white liberals.
I mean, so just the criminals in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. That's the way to put it. But
I wonder if we can take a page out of Iran's book and just mow them down with machine guns.
Say that again.
I said, I wonder if we can just take a page out of Iran's book and just mow them down with machine guns.
I know, and just do a media shutdown and just tell the world, I'd be like, hey, we killed 20, but really it was only 5.
I'm serious, man. I mean, I'm not seriously serious, but think about it. If that's what I mean, the left is just beside themselves that one lady got shot after she tried to run over. What if we just gave them the Iranian treatment?
What's actually effed up? Wasn't the Iranian foreign minister that gave that example
He
for
said
why
some crap about that? I was like, you better shut up before we.
Yeah, he said it though. He definitely said it. He was like, yeah, well, I mean, look, you guys go against y'all police, y'all can get shot. So how come when the citizens go against our police, they can't get shot?
Because
I was like,
the police line up in a riot line with shields and batons, not machine guns.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, that is true. But let's be honest though. Our protesters ain't shooting them with the shotties, or it would get like that.
They're just stabbing people and throwing rocks.
That's true. Throwing rocks and hitting them upside the head.
And explosives.
Yeah, shout out to the Bay. They're getting creative out here. I ain't gonna lie. Fireworks, I mean, go.
You haven't seen fireworks, man? That's a common thing in Seattle because fireworks are legal year round. So you just go and buy those big mortars, and the ones you're supposed to shoot out of tubes, and they'll just throw them.
Oh shit! Hey yo, that's a fire hazard.
Yeah, yeah. I've been very, very close to one that exploded. Just going through downtown Seattle right after the George Floyd overdose.
Oh man, yeah, you were in the thick of it.
Whoo! That'll make your butthole pucker,
man. But all right.
Evolved into calls for an end to clerical rule, marking the deadliest unrest since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. While a violent crackdown appears to have quelled demonstrations in many areas, eyewitness accounts tell a darker story. Residents describe riot police firing directly at crowds. Verified videos show security forces beating and shooting protesters. The bloodshed has been especially severe in Iran's Kurdish northwest, where separatist groups have a history of armed resistance. Sources say fighters attempted to cross into Iran from Iraq as chaos spread. Internet blackouts have obscured the full scale of events, cutting families off from loved ones and trapping witnesses in silence. As Iran and the U.S. trade accusations, one reality remains clear. The streets may have fallen quiet, but the crisis is far from over.
Naturally, I have my mother, and I've been with a sick woman for more than a week now. I don't know what her condition is.
Living in Greece.
We all have relatives who are out there sick.
Oh, and if you don't know, she's an Iranian living in Greece.
And we worry deeply inside. We don't know if they've been arrested or if they are among the dead. You might not, you probably won't even believe this. Every single day I open up my phone and I read, searching everywhere, hoping to find them either among the dead or perhaps among the missing. But regrettably, the news is only trickling out slowly. Therefore, we genuinely have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I still have family in Iran. My
native Iran.
Father still lives in Iran. I have family on his side, and I also have family on my mother's side in Iran. Aunts and uncles and cousins and, extended family. So the things that I hear from my family and friends are that, many people were participating. Almost everyone they knew was going out to these protests, going in the streets, actively participating in the protests, or at least like being out there and sort of watching and observing. And then I was able to get some information about like their safety after the crackdown and the shutdown of the internet. I know, for example, some of my, second cousins and so on have been injured, not life-threatening as far as I know. You can say we were at the edge of our seats. I follow the news through multiple news outlets, the national newspapers here in the U.S., but also the BBC and other outlets. I also follow through social media. There are certain accounts that have been very trusted in communicating what is happening in terms of videos or news. My mom is also very concerned. She's always been actually politically active in the previous regime and the current.
Well, all right, guys, we're going to have to go ahead and call it a night on this one. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, and shout out to my man Monty also, man. Shout out to the co-host Monty. Monty, where you at now? No, probably asleep or something. You never know. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it down on this one, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is Set with S.E.T Media, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Make sure you double tap that screen and like the video, guys, if you haven't already, and make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it, guys. Appreciate the support. Catch you on the next one. Peace. Man, let me go ahead and leave out with this.
Later.
Oh, there's Monty. Hey. And we'll go ahead and leave out on this.
We have breaking news. The U.S. military has ordered 1,500 troops to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota. Why? Well, as you know, last Thursday, Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, which allows the military to act as domestic law enforcement. So the Pentagon called this preparation for deployment, prudent planning, and that it's typical for them to be prepared for any decision the president may or may not make. Where are these 1,500 troops based? These soldiers are assigned to 2 infantry battalions with the Army's 11th Airborne Division, which is based in Alaska, and they specialize in cold weather operations. So does this move mean the administration is more likely to invoke the Insurrection Act? Again, the Pentagon is framing this as merely planning in case things escalate. Trump sort of cooled his rhetoric on the Insurrection Act on Friday, saying there's no reason to invoke it right now, but he